chicks. The Fan.
Oh, and welcome in. Happy Tuesday to you. No Isaac Ropp. He's still on Kiffin Watch. As we've stated, he is, quote, sick. Has Friday scheduled off. 4-day weekend, turns into a 5-day weekend, turns into a 6-day weekend. Tomorrow is the magic day. Because if he's not back tomorrow, we know good and damn well he's not showing up on a Thursday to do a Thursday show and then take Friday off. So we've officially entered Lane Kiffin Watch. We're monitoring airplanes. Marty Smith is sitting out in front of his house, waiting to see if he does leave or if he is indeed dying of cat AIDS. We don't know. No Rob today. Hopefully back tomorrow. We'll see. Andrew Nemec sits in with me, the Schnitzel Wolf behind the glass there. Gentlemen, how are we doing on a very crisp December afternoon?
Doing good. I like the idea of extending a 3-day weekend into a 10-day weekend.
Well,
That is the most Isaac Ropp statement ever.
He is a master of this. Like, and I'm being dead serious. When he is ill, it does tend to wrap itself around vacation and holidays. Now, I think it's just that he has a crappy immune system. So when you travel for holidays, or you have people around.
Well, you see a lot of
people. He tends to get sick.
Right.
But he cocky sniffed. We were talking about this like a month or two ago. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. My immune system's great. He goes, at one point it was bad. He claims that he solved his immune issues with his new healthy lifestyle, which I'm not exactly sure what his healthy lifestyle entails. I think he's going to like a red light sauna occasionally now.
Saw a naturopath is what he said. I don't know.
So he's in this new like health craze. So he claimed that his like immune system is robust now. That it's Dan Lanning-esque. And literally like a month later, he's down and out for Thanksgiving. And then I got the text this morning. Oh, sorry, man. It's one more day. And it just always coincides with holidays. Like if he goes on vacation and he's gone for like 4 or 5 days and he's like, hey, I'll be back on Wednesday. It's like 50-50. and then you're like, well, if he's not here Wednesday, now we're into Thursday. It's like, oh man, I maybe need one more day. And then it turns into, well, at that point, well, I mean, why not just take Friday, make sure that you're well rested, and then you have the whole weekend to get better, and then you're back on Monday. He is a master of doing this. He could teach a class on it.
He is off Friday.
Yes.
Oh.
See, that's what I'm saying. Friday is a scheduled day off, and that's been that way.
So Wednesday, Thursday is highly unlikely.
Well, tomorrow is, like I said, tomorrow is the magic day. If he's back tomorrow, he'll be here Wednesday. He'll be tomorrow or Thursday, and then he'll take his Friday off.
I bet the house I don't own, he's not going to be here tomorrow.
But if he ain't here tomorrow, I'll tell you
he's
what.
He's not coming in Thursday.
Vegas comes in with a landslide odd that Thursday is not going to be that
minus 1,200 to no show.
Oh, minus 10,000, buddy. Are you kidding me?
And plus, like, we're in the midst, right? Think about this tomorrow. Tomorrow is National Signing Day. What does he hate more than anything is the NBA. So what does he hate second most in this world behind the NBA? National Signing Day.
And the NFL Draft. And my whole wheelhouse.
Yes, your whole wheelhouse. We throw that in. The coaching carousel, we got like the SCORE Act that's trying to make its way through Congress. It's like all the things that like, that maybe is what making him ill. He might be like allergic to what's happening right now in the world of the coaching carousel, recruiting, and like the Blazers. Maybe it's just too much for his poor system, and he's in the middle of a shutdown right now. It's a working theory that I have. So we shall see tomorrow if he makes his triumphant return for National Signing Day.
My stepmom was a junior high teacher since retired, and about 4 or 5 years in a row, she got sick for parent-teacher conferences.
Really?
And had to miss.
Yeah.
And it was like,
you're starting to wonder?
Or are you just, is this like it starts creeping up and you get sick? Like, how does this keep happening right at parent-teacher?
I do think you can manifest. I do believe in that stuff. Like,
oh, for sure.
There's the idea of, and it's been proven, like with injuries and illness, like people that are competitors, you can force your body to kind of like will yourself through something. Yeah. And then the moment you're done, you collapse. Like you have that adrenaline spike or whatever, and you can force your way through something.
I got sick 4 or 5 years in a row the day after signing day. Now, part of that's no sleep and working and all that. But was it 2 or 3 years ago? My eardrum ruptured overnight between the start of getting ready for signing day and then signing day morning. Because you have to get up when the signings start at like 6, 7 a.m. East Coast. I have to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
my eardrum ruptured at like 2 a.m.
Oh gosh.
And I had to get up before signing day, write for a few hours, go into the hospital or the urgent care, get meds, get treated for the ruptured eardrum, and then just like finish out the day doing hits on signing day. So I do believe in that you can just get sick when your body's just done. And I think I would cross the finish line for signing day and just be, because I got no sleep the 4 or 5 days leading into signing day. This year, not going to be a problem.
I just have the image in my head of like Rop on Thanksgiving, right? Like hanging out, having a whiskey, feet up, and then Friday, because he said like Friday is when he started to feel a little off, and just the idea, he's like, well, I got the 4-day weekend, but oh my God, Monday and then Friday, the Saturday's like, I don't know, Sunday scary's hit, and then can't do it. Just couldn't make it on time. So we're hoping. We're knock on whatever the hell this is, because it's not wood. We'll knock on whatever particle board laminate thing is. We'll see what happens. But still plenty to talk about. I mean, the coaching carousel thing just never ends. We had the introductory press conference today for Jamarcus Shepard down at Oregon State. Penn State still doesn't have a coach. Lane Kiffin trying to maybe not be the world's biggest ass and trying to extend an olive branch to Ole Miss. So there's just a ton of stuff going on, including like the number one player in the country decommitting from Georgia the day before National Signing Day and going to Vanderbilt. Right. It just feels like this is like a never ending, like drink from the fire hose sort of college football thing. We haven't even gotten to the NFL, and the NFL was crazy over the week. We didn't get to touch on the NFL at all because it kind of got dominated by all the college football news. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the playoff rankings come out today, and we still have championship week.
Well, and I was going to say Oregon might lose both of their coordinators this week. I mean, and that's a huge piece. Will Stein headed to Kentucky on a 5-year deal, and we're still waiting on Tosh Lupoi, although it almost seems like they let go of Justin Wilcox in part because they felt confident they could get Tosh Lupoi. At least that's sort of the narrative that's being spun. Do they actually get Lupoi? Yeah. And Lanning has to replace both coordinators. There's a ton going on, and it does feel like a seismic shift in college football. And it does every year. Yeah. And although this year was extreme because so many different coaching jobs were open. But it does seem like people are starting to get fed up with the absurdity of like the college football playoffs about to happen and how many teams out of the 12 that make it are going to either have new coordinators or a new head coach. It might be half or more. Yeah. And that's insane. That shouldn't happen. Well, imagine if March Madness started and of the teams that were top 4 seeds, or top 3 seeds, half of them had to replace their coaching staff. Yeah, it would water down the product.
I mean, we were going down the scenarios yesterday, and we'll see the rankings come out. And this is, by the way, the first time when these rankings come out, and it's usually somewhere in the 4 or 5 o'clock hour. It's in between the basketball games. These are the ones that you can actually pay attention to. Because up until now, it's all just kind of shuffling and positioning. But this one, most of these teams, with the exception of a handful, like they're done playing, right? So you can kind of lock in, as we were kind of laying out the case, and we'll go through it today. It kind of feels like there's only 2 spots available. It feels like we're basically locked in to 10 of the 12 slots, and you now have 6 teams, including Alabama, by the way. And if you think Alabama's already in, and some people do, then you now have 5 teams fighting for 1 slot. And if BYU finds a way to beat Texas Tech, which I don't think is going to happen, then there's no slots. Then it's done.
Although if you were going to draw a narrative for BYU beating Texas Tech, wouldn't it begin with Kalani Sitake today? Potentially, it's being reported turning down the Penn State gig and it rallying the troops and BYU ending up with a Big 12 title because the team is just fired up and ready to go. I mean, if you were going to draw the scenario, that would certainly be the start of the not Cinderella story, but the narrative that ends so poetically for BYU. They get in the college football playoff, their coach stays, and the whole thing. It's setting up for that, although Texas Tech probably saying not so fast given their front 7.
Yeah, I mean, that game, I don't know how many people watched it. I did. Obviously, it's my team, and Sitake was a teammate of mine. We just weren't competitive, and I'm not certain that they're going to be. There's just sometimes, they say styles make fights, and the one thing that I think is universally true in no matter what football you play in, and whether you played little kid football, whether you played high school football, JUCO, Division I, NFL, if you can't block their front 4, It really
if
doesn't.
you can get pressure without having to blitz, you're in huge trouble.
It's just it's a death sentence. The greatest team in NFL history, the New England Patriots, went down to a very average Giants team because they couldn't block their front four. And watching that game, trust me, BYU could not block Texas Tech's front four. I'm not sure at this point, maybe if anyone can block Texas Tech's front four. I'm not sure that the rest of Texas Tech is good enough to win a title, but yeah, it was a weird day as you kind of was going through the carousel. And like I said, I was watching the Jamarcus Shepard press conference, and we've got some of that. We'll play it, and I thought it was pretty impressive. I did have a couple things that were kind of, I'm not going to say they were concerning. There were a couple things as I was watching that press conference, if I was a Beaver fan, that I'd kind of be like, man, I don't know. But that's most press conferences, right? I mean, like, we read way too much into press conference. Gary Anderson had a great first press conference, and the guy was freaking terrible, right? Like, there's no guarantees the press conference means anything. But, I mean, it's all we have.
Duval.
Right? So awkward.
And that's worked out fine.
Well, and Dan Campbell's was horrific, and people were making fun of him. Sirianni's, everyone was making fun of Sirianni's, and, you know, whatever you think of Dan Campbell, they were, you know, one of the best teams in the NFL last year, and Sirianni's been to 2 Super Bowls and has won one. So press conference, you know, take it for what it's worth. But I thought in general, he did a nice job, and you could see why Oregon State hired Shepard. But to me, the big news coming out of today was that Kalani Sitake turned down Penn State, turned down an $11.5 million a year offer. If you want to know how which is a bigger holy hell college football has changed, the number one player in the country the day before signing day flipping from Georgia to Vanderbilt, or the BYU coach turning down $11.5 million to go be the Penn State coach.
Now, here's the other thing. TV ratings are as high as they've ever been.
Yeah.
You've got the number one quarterback in the nation going to Vanderbilt. Indiana is undefeated and is playing in the Big Ten title game. Whoever wins that game is the number one. Yeah. Vandy themselves they're in the top 20. Who's to say college football isn't the healthiest it's ever been? Now, nobody wants to hear that's currently a fan of Oregon State or Washington State.
Sure.
But there's a whole lot of things going on, and there's a lot around it that's negative. Look at Ole Miss and the Lane Kiffin debacle. Yeah. But there's some really good things going on, including the fact that if you want to compete and you hire the right coach and you want to spend the money to compete, you can climb the ladder in a hurry. Look at Texas Tech. David Bailey transfers from Stanford, and everybody knew who David Bailey was. Coming out of modern day, I love David Bailey. David Bailey, big-time fan. Goes to Stanford. That's not the right fit because Stanford's where Stanford is, although I think Andrew Luck's taking some good steps. But David Bailey goes because Texas Tech paid him a bag, and they have the 2 best edge rushers maybe in America. Yeah. You can get good quick, and I do think that's a good thing. Now, there's a whole lot around it that's not real positive. But don't tell Indiana and Vanderbilt fan that college football is broken, because they are tap dancing in the aisles, given the way things have gone this season.
Well, when we come back, let's touch on that, because I do think right now it is a popular narrative that, especially out west, I'd be interested to see if you go down to the South and the SEC land, if anyone's saying this. Out west, I think it's easy to say this because, well, we were the ones that were kneecapped. The death of the Pac-12 wasn't the ACC that died. It wasn't the Big 12 that died. Certainly not the SEC, certainly not the Big 10. Now, we'll see what happens with the ACC, maybe not getting a team in if the SEC doesn't get who they think it is. But we'll explore that narrative of on the verge of Congress voting for antitrust protection for the NCAA, on the verge of maybe the most chaotic playoff situation we've seen in college football, or is it? You know, and now National Signing Day becoming Vanderbilt now taking on Georgia. Just what is the state of college football? How healthy is it? And is it indeed, quote, broken? That when we come back. Primetime here on 105.1 The Fan.
Dirt and Spray. Dirt and Spray.
I'm Dirt.
Josh Pate on
with Isaac and Suk on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Sorry, I was having to explain to Nemec that I am not a Portland Pirates fan.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yes. It's a Portland hat.
Okay.
I was confused there. I didn't know where you were going with it. We were sitting there, we were like coming back from break, and Nemec goes, "Are you a fan of like buying hats to stadiums that you go to?"
Yeah. See, that's my bag.
And I just kind of stood there and I was like, what the hell? You ever get that question and you don't have any context to it? Like now my brain is like doing that Terminator scratchy vision where I'm like, where, like, should I know? And then I'm like, wait,
where
were
did
you?
this come from?
Well, I was like, were we having a conversation and I wasn't paying attention, which is a real possibility. Like my gal does that all the time. She asked me a question and I realized in the moment, I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't listening. Like what? And then you're like, and then you're trying to get context. So I was trying to get context. And then you're like, the Pirates. And I still didn't get it. I was like, Pirates. Oh, it's a P on my hat. No,
Yes.
it's
a black hat
It's a black
with
hat.
a yellow or gold P.
gold P. Yeah.
What was that, like MLB to PDX?
No, it's Portland Police.
It's Portland Police.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Oh, but
I had to flip it
I
around.
thought it
and
was
is
Pirates, so I was like, I do this thing where if I go to a game, I buy a hat of the school. Like I went to a game at Rice. I went to a baseball game at Rice because we went to the Final Four. I went to the Final Four with my dad, my cousins and stuff. And we then during the off time went to, what should we do? We're sports fans. So we went to a Rice. They're good.
Yeah.
And Anthony Rendon was on that team. They were great.
Yeah.
And so I bought a Rice hat. So people ask me like, why the heck do you have a Rice hat? Well, I went to a game. So I buy hats when I go to a game at their stadium. So I thought maybe that was it for you. So
this is it's just a Portland Police hat. It's the 75th anniversary of the Portland Police Association. Shout out Officer Dave McGuffey, who is a great friend of mine, and that is Dave's big fat head is his hat. So yeah, that's always one of those weird ones where either people think it's a Pirates hat, or if you do know it's a police hat, I get one of two reactions. Sometimes it's really positive, and other times it's not so much.
Hey, you're with ICE.
Well, yeah, someone will ask me like what the hat is, and I'm like, yeah, it's a Portland Police hat. And sometimes that's such a weird visceral reaction, and I'm always like, okay, well, just let's all settle down here, people.
Here's the thing, man. Let's call a spade a spade. You give a very Proud Boys aesthetic.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
So when you wear a Portland Police hat, looking the way you do with a completely shaved head, there are going to be folks who kind of go, oh, okay, he lives in Vancouver. He's part of the Proud Boys crew. Now, once they get to know you, they realize that you're very much not.
Yeah.
However, I do understand the initial reaction of...
I do get that from time
far right wing. His profile picture is probably some Oakleys with a selfie in his truck. I
do wear that hat more than any other hat. It's just one. I think it's a great hat. I like supporting my buddy, and I think I'm the first one to tell you that I don't think all cops are great, but I think it's a really hard job, and I respect the people that do it well, and I support them. I don't support every single one. I don't support everything they do, but yeah, I have no problem doing that. And it's just funny the reactions that you get when you wear that. But a lot of times, most people just think it's a Pirates hat.
We have
like,
some.
Looks just like it.
Yeah.
We have some breaking news. This, according to On3, Cal is working to finalize a deal to make Oregon defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoi its next head coach. That, according to Pete Nakos. I don't know how to say that.
Yes.
Nakos?
Yeah.
I think it's Nakos.
Nakos.
So this,
my apologies to my apologies to Pete.
Dude, this thing changes like literally like by the hour. So, but this is kind of what we thought all along. The Will Stein thing kind of came out of a little bit of left field until Stoops got fired at Kentucky. Like there wasn't a whisper, there wasn't a mouse fart of Will Stein going anywhere. In fact, we were talking about on the program not too long ago that it was kind of weird that as good as Oregon's offense has been, and whatever you think of this version of it, it's a top 10 scoring offense in the country.
Oh, I think he's doing his best job this year he's ever done.
Yeah, with some of the injuries they have, and especially at the receiver position, and he's done a really nice job. And I'm just surprised that his name wasn't more out there. But as soon as the Kentucky job opened up, it was basically Will Stein or nothing. And as soon as Wilcox got fired, Lupoi was the first name that got thrown out there. So it was kind of like the idea of, do they go Rolovich or do they go Lupoi? And the fact that it was signing day and then we hadn't heard the Lupoi thing finalized, now it was kind of like, where are we going with this? But here we go. And it sounds like Lupoi will probably be the guy. But Stein's going to stick around until Oregon's done, and my guess is that Lapoy will also stick around until Oregon's done.
I would think. I mean, they have national title aspirations,
Yes.
and we can get into the validity of that and whether or not they legitimately could win a national title if they're a little bit of a long shot, whatever. But I guarantee in that locker room, they feel like if they play their best ball, they could beat anyone on any given day.
Sure.
When you're in that place, you keep going and you keep competing, and I think that's a good thing for the program.
Well, remember, I think it's different when you're a coordinator versus a head coach. I also think it's different when you are a group of 5 or now group of 6 trying to go up. So the John Summerall thing, or someone of that, because we've been told that North Texas, Tulane, they're fine if one of those teams is going to make the playoff, and their new schools are fine. Was Oklahoma State and Florida are fine with their coaches continuing on to the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. I think there is a vast difference between Lane Kiffin wanting to stay at Ole Miss and Summerall, the difference between Tulane and Florida, or in this case, coordinators. I think you can do both.
Sure.
And so I don't think that some people have brought up, the conflict of interest. I don't think Dan Lanning is concerned with the conflict of interest. Is there going to be distractions? Sure. Is there going to be split duties? Absolutely. Is it ideal? No. But I think it's better to let these guys continue than to try to cut ties and promote from within and go without your play caller on either side of the ball. I just don't think that that's a real feasible way to go about trying to win a national title if you're Oregon.
If you're Oregon and you're looking at the potential, and it's likely they're both being reported, right?
Yeah.
That both of your coordinators go. Which one is more concerning for you if you're Dan Lanning?
Will Stein.
Okay.
It's not even close.
Okay.
Like, to me, if you're a defensive-minded coach, and look, Dan Lanning has his fingers all over this, right? Like, Dan Lanning, when you're a head coach, there's very few head coaches out there that are truly the offense or defensive coordinators. It happens.
So it's Dan Lanning's defense in Lapoy's image?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was even Nick Saban.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And Saban might be the best defensive mind we've seen in college football history. And the idea with Saban was whoever he hired was going to run the Nick Saban system.
Right.
It's like, hey, if you want to come in and do this, great. And you could put your own spin on it, but this is the way we do things. And you are going to learn my way of doing things, and then I'm going to turn it over to you and I will have input. Right. And my guess is that is the way most CEO coaches do it. Like Kiffin was a play caller. Riley's a play caller. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
It does. But for the most part, the vast majority of coaches in the NFL and in college are CEOs. They're not offense defensive coordinators. And so to me, having Lanning be a defensive guy, my guess is his fingerprints are more so on the defense than they are the offense. And so the idea of losing your offensive play caller that has that relationship with his quarterback, that's in those rhythms on a day-to-day basis, to me, that's a much bigger deal than replacing a defensive guy that is probably going to come in and say, look, this is the way we do things on defense. This is the way, these are the schemes. Like Oregon right now, like, I really like this 3-high safety look. We've been playing with this. I want you to work in the confines of this.
Okay.
As opposed to Stein, and who knows, maybe they could promote from within. But if you go get a different offensive coordinator, there could absolutely be a different feel to it. The other one I think to remember here in the Oregon Stein thing is, does this play a role in whether Dante Moore comes back? I think that's a fair question to ask at this point.
Yeah, if you're Dante Moore, there's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who flippantly says, well, he's going to stay no matter what, or he's going to go no matter what, you're being silly. There's a lot of factors here. One being quarterbacks who have been one-hit wonders. Now, he had a few games at UCLA, but you wouldn't say they went swimmingly. He's had one good year.
Yeah.
If you look at the last decade of quarterbacks who've had one good
That's
year,
not what you want.
the guy, the poster boy for that is Sam Darnold, who took 4 or 5 years to figure it out, and you could even argue sometimes he's up and down even with the Seattle team that's very good. You factor in that this is a weak year for quarterbacks. As much as we hailed this as the year for quarterbacks, there's going to be so many and you're going to be able to pick whoever. No one is looking at Mendoza, and going, wow, he should stay because Mendoza's so good. Lenoris Sellers is probably coming back. Cade Klubnik didn't blow your hair back. Arch Manning, probably as good as his last month has been, probably needs some more seasoning.
It is the most disappointing.
Sam Levitt didn't pan out.
No,
we can go. DJ Lagway hasn't been great.
It is the most Damon Williams. It has been
that's a
the
good one.
most disappointing, hyped quarterback class
Yes.
that I can remember.
Agreed.
I cannot remember a year where almost every one of the top guys, with the exception of Mendoza, who was borderline.
John Mateer's another one, by the way.
Mateer
Yeah.
fell off.
Yeah.
The only ones that have really kind of either elevated or proven more elevated, more so than maybe people thought. You remember there was who's going to start, more clearly elevated himself. And Mendoza solidified himself of, we think he can be this, and he was. Outside of that, dude, it's been...
Drew Aller is such an afterthought. We forget that he was being discussed as the number one pick.
Yeah.
We totally forgot to even mention him. That's a factor.
Yeah.
Because as much as we think it's silly to just kick the can down the road and say, well, the next year they're going to be good.
Yeah.
That's what people do.
Yeah.
They always say, well, then the next year guys are going to figure it out. So there's this opening at the top of the board with multiple teams that are going to need quarterbacks. And then not only that, but Dante, then again, you're factoring in new offensive coordinator and all that. He has to trust that when he goes, whoever the new offensive coordinator is, that he's going to hit the ground running and everything's going to be simpatico. And oh yeah, by the way, it's a whole new offensive line. Yeah. So he's pretty much solidified himself.
He's a top 5 pick.
He's a top 5 pick.
For sure. Dante Moore guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed. It's very, very likely.
You look at the last month, and he kind of went through, and we can talk about this, but I feel like he had that moment, right? He came out of the gate, and it was a rocket ship. Right. And Penn State was like, after the Penn State game, Dante Moore, number 1 player in the draft. And then, you kind of had that midseason swoon a little bit where I think Indiana rattled him a little bit, kind of confused him with some of the looks, and the offense kind of spun their wheels a bit.
Wisconsin wasn't great.
There
were a number of games that went
Iowa.
And then even the Iowa game, though, the throw that he had at the end of that game was as good a throw as that is an NFL throw. And you hear this all the time from quarterback evaluators. You can watch an entire college football game, and the quarterback may do 3 things that you can actually say, this translates into the NFL.
Translatable skills are really hard to come by.
And it's the same thing with like left tackles. It's hard because it's such a different game. Dante Moore, the last month of this season, has made every throw that you need a guy to make at the NFL. Whether it was the seam ball to Sadiq, certainly the 2 that he ripped against Washington, one to Malik Benson on the touchdown, in between 4 guys, the one coming out of his own end zone. The one to Iowa is as good a throw as you can possibly make. That might be the best throw of Dante Moore's career. It's insane. I mean, it was unbelievable coverage, and it didn't matter because it was a perfectly placed ball. And some of the indecision stuff has gone away. You're seeing him be more comfortable. So in a field without a lot of NFL-ready guys, if Dante Moore comes out, there's no way Dante Moore, with his size, the athleticism, and the natural way in which he throws the ball, he does not foul past 7 or 8.
Well, and the tools are loud. And we can squint and kind of make it like Bryce Young wasn't the toolsiest guy. No. But his tape was pretty good, and he made some throws, and we were able to talk ourselves into him being potentially 1-1. Yeah. Dante Moore's tools are much louder. That arm talent is not an every class arm talent. No. He's got 1 in every 3 or 4 years level.
He's a natural thrower of the ball, and it comes out of his hands so well. So the only question becomes, does he want another year of seasoning? Which, by the way, for NFL prospects, him coming back would be phenomenal for him.
It would be the best for his development. Yes. It might not be the best for his pocketbook, even in the NIL era.
So do you want to come back another year of seasoning, try to set yourself up better and make a couple $1,000,000? Or do you say, hey, I'm getting feedback from the NFL. And by the way, Matt Miller and a couple of the draft guys, it was basically, Dane Brugler said this, that it was a done deal that Dante Moore is coming back.
Correct.
You're now hearing people that are like, well,
to that point, though,
that he's playing better. He's going to ask for the evaluation.
Yeah.
And now with his offensive coordinator leaving, all I'm saying is I think it went from, I gave no thought to Dante Moore going to the NFL a month ago, and right now you can't say that.
To that point, though, there's got to be an assumption that Dan Lanning, man, he pulled Kenny Dillingham up from Florida State. Look where he ended up now. Will Stein, what was that, like Texas, San Antonio. It was some unknown university. Like, Dan Lanning knows how to hire, and that's got to be a reason that Dante Moore felt comfortable coming back from UCLA, because he knew that all these players understand this craziness, but that's why he came to Oregon. The continuity is there with this staff.
But there is no continuity anymore because your staff is gone. Not only is Will Stein gone, not only is Tosh Lupoi gone, but herein lies the question: how many people does Will Stein take with him? How many Tosh Lupoi take with him? We heard Jamarcus Shepard was introduced today with the Beavs, and again, we'll play some of that. He's taking guys with him from Alabama.
A handful of them.
A handful of them. And that's from Alabama to Oregon State. Now, they're not going to be the top level guys, but you're going to be able to grab some of those. And I'm certain that Will Stein and Tosh Lupoi will both grab some people on his way out the door. And look, I have no idea whether Dante Moore is coming back. Dan Lanning once said that in a microwave world, Dante Moore is a slow cooker sort of guy. And the fact that he came to Oregon to sit for a year after being a 5-star kid that started as a true freshman at UCLA, I think says something to him. But if they make a deep run in the playoff and someone tells Dante Moore, dude, if you come out, you are going to be a top 5 pick. And by the way, here's $35 million guaranteed dollars. Or do you want to go back to Oregon and risk a new staff for $2.5 million? Look, I just think there's a conversation to be had there, and I guarantee Dante Moore is going to be having that conversation. And Will Stein leaving has to be a factor in that conversation that he's having with whoever he's consulting with.
And if you're an Oregon fan, the thing you lean on is, one year successful quarterbacks have not necessarily panned out in the NFL.
Yes.
Dante Moore has been a student of development.
Yes.
In other words, he's understood what it's taken to get to the finish line. And this is also important if you're an Oregon fan. Go back and look at when we've had these decisions in the past. Justin Herbert came back. Sabrina Ionescu came back. Peyton Pritchard came back. We have seen high-level athletes at Oregon consistently come back, and all three had major success after coming back. So if you're talking to Dante and you're the athletic department, you're NIL,
you're whispering.
The collective message can be, look at our superstars who have stayed. We've taken care of them. Peyton Pritchard, point guard of the year. Justin Herbert ends up being a Pro Bowl level quarterback. Sabrina Ionescu, #1 overall pick. When you stay, we take care of you and make sure you had success, and you are a legend. And that does matter. And Oregon has done a great job of packaging that. So that cannot be understated either.
Trust me, if I know Dan Lanning at all, there is a PowerPoint presentation about how they're going to hit the offensive line transfer portal. Some of the young guys that have filled in from an injury standpoint have played really well on that O-line.
Phenomenal.
So we're going to be like, look what we did in the portal last year. We're going to hit it again. All your receivers are basically back, including your best one that's a true freshman. You have 2 backs that we think are going to be absolutely phenomenal, and more are coming. And most of our defense is back to, we are going to win a national title next year. You are going to win a Heisman Trophy. Oh, and by the way, here's what were you making this year? $2 million for NIL. How does 4 grab you? They are going to put a full court press and probably guarantee Dante Moore that whatever offensive coordinator comes in will run the same system. Maybe with some tweaks, but no, we are not reinventing the wheel here. What you were raised here the last 2 years with Will Stein is what we're going to continue with. They're going to make this case, which is why I said, if I'm a betting man, I still think Dante Moore comes back. I just think it's interesting that a lot of the guys that are really deep into the draft were all saying 0 chance he comes out. And now in fact, I saw 2 tweets today that were like, someone asked the question to them. They were asking, when Will Stein got the job, they were asking, hey, does this change Dante Moore? And I think it was Matt Miller, and I think his direct one was, that's what I'm looking into right now, ... Interesting. Take it for what it's worth, but there's a guy that's tied into these sorts of things, and that certainly wasn't a no. It was, I'm looking into it. Because I guarantee you, when that happened, Dante Moore is sitting down with everyone, including Dan Lanning, and they're having this conversation.
Bo Nix stuck around, right, from Dillingham to Will Stein.
Yes.
So this has happened in the last 3-4 years.
Difference is Bo Nix was not a top 5 pick. But coming back elevated him to that level. Dante Moore is the best draft prospect Oregon's had since Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
So
at quarterback.
At quarterback, yes.
For sure.
For certain. So we'll see where this goes. All right, we come back to the conversation we were having, because we kind of got derailed there by that little piece of news where Oregon will be replacing both coordinators, it sounds like, Will Stein and Tosh Lupoi. The state of college football when we come back here on The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on The Fan, breaking news in college football. In just the last half an hour or so, we heard Will Stein going to be leaving Oregon yesterday for the University of Kentucky. Now, defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoi on his way out of Eugene as well. He has reportedly accepted the new head coach position with the Cal Bears, taking over for the recently fired Justin Wilcox. No word yet on if he will be coaching the Ducks through the college football playoff. Of course, Stein will be with Oregon, so the expectation will be the same for Lupoi. Elsewhere in college football, a huge 180. BYU head coach Kalani Sitake reportedly has begun to inform people he plans to stay at the university after being heavily linked to the Penn State opening. This comes less than a day after the Cougars called donors together to orchestrate a lucrative offer. And elsewhere, new LSU offensive coordinator Charlie Wise Jr., who had followed Lane Kiffin to the Tigers earlier this week, will be allowed to return to Ole Miss for the college football playoff. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's Window into the Fan. 1080 AM.
Before we got derailed there with the Tosh Lupoi stuff, if you're just tuning in, Tosh Lupoi going to be the next coach at Cal, Will Stein the next coach at Kentucky. Both will stay on for the run of the Ducks in the college football playoff. Those rankings will come out later. We'll get a better idea of where Oregon's at, although I think kind of 5 or 6 seems to be the most realistic one of where that's going. And we'll talk a little bit later about what that means. But just kind of the overall general health of college football. It's been kind of a weird 72 hours here. Between last week, the holiday weekend, and then into this, the Lane Kiffin stuff certainly stoked a lot of fire. I think the way ESPN handled it, rolling out an entire dais of people all repped by the same agency, promoting the Lane Kiffin stuff, I certainly think left a bad taste in people's mouth. And so now we're kind of getting into this whole sense of like, oh, college football is broken, and Congress is voting on some anti-protection laws for the NCAA, and we have everyone kind of crying from the Raptors. I mean, I see it every day, people saying that college football is broken. But this idea that this is any worse than it's ever been, like we're going to get Texas left out. And Steve Sarkisian's going to say that this is terrible for the sport. And Miami or Notre Dame's going to get left out. And someone to say, well, how can we do this every single year? We had an undefeated team, left out of a 14 playoff. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. Mm-hmm. Go ask Baylor what it feels like to at the last second to have the rug pulled out from underneath you. Same thing with TCU because the Big 12 didn't have a championship. I mean, you can go back year after year after year, and this is just the way college football has been. But like you said something earlier, you said it kind of feels like people are getting sick and tired of it. And that may be kind of the vocal sentiment, but everything else from a revenue standpoint, from an eyeball standpoint, do you know the NCAA made that basically college football made about $18 billion last year? Mm-hmm. The only league that makes more than that is the NFL. It's double basically what any other professional sport does. So when I hear that this is broken or that something has to be done, or God forbid Lane Kiffin goes somewhere else and will never recover, I don't know, it's a little boy cried wolf to me, because we can complain about it, but we all keep consuming it, and the schools keep paying these coaches. I think there's close to $300 million being paid out from the Power 4 conferences this year to coaches that won't be coaching on their roster.
Right.
So like this idea that somehow this is all broken and we can't keep going, I just find it to be it's a dishonest argument.
So let's start here. Players are getting paid.
Yes.
That's a positive.
Yeah.
Teams like Indiana and Vanderbilt, when they hire the right coach and invest in their programs, are going from, not being favored in a conference game in 8 years to now being top 20 teams and undefeated teams playing in the Big Ten title. I'd say that's good. Yeah. 5-star talent is more spread out than it's ever been. We are no longer seeing 8, 9, 5 stars at one school, nor are we seeing a Power 5, now Power 4, but a Power 5 conference that has 2 5-stars in their whole conference. That was the Pac-12 2 years before they ended. People thought, 5 stars are so common, and how come da-da-da-da-da? Well, there were only 2 in the whole conference, and Alabama had literally like 12 on their roster. We're not seeing that anymore, and the latest example of that, of course, came today when Jared Curtis, the 5-star quarterback, some sites have him as the number 1 quarterback in America, flipped his commitment from Georgia to Vanderbilt. All of those things are very positive.
Yeah.
Those are all real positive. And then we get into the TV ratings. And by the way, for Texas, spare me the, how come we're not getting in? Because you chose to be in the SEC instead of in the Big 12. And with that comes a tougher schedule. And hey, you lost 3 games. And guess what? Now you're left out. That was your choice. You guys chose to join a super conference and found out that it's not super easy to win double-digit games every year. So all of those things are positive. Where I see the issue is this pushback against players being a collective bargaining agreement, essentially, and the calendar being bad. Yeah. If you fixed signing day and said, okay, we cannot have signing day right before the playoffs start because these coaches are leaving because they need their talent. Either make it February, and then if you want an early signing period that's before the football season starts, or however you want to do that, fine. I've always argued, make it the end of July. School hasn't started yet. By the way, we're still talking about academics in school. And if you sign at the end of July, let's say, because school hasn't started anywhere, you have to disclose publicly any NIL deal that you've signed. And the reason I say that is it would set the market for the rest of the class. If you feel so good about a kid, you want him at the end of July, and that kid feels so good about that marriage with you, regardless of what could happen, then make your NIL deal public, because then we've publicly, front-facing, set a standard for, hey, this is what 4 and 5 stars are getting in this conference, in this class. And then other teams have the chance until February to work within that market, to worry and complete their seasons before they have to worry about coaches leaving and all of that. I think that's the fix. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it great that kids have to sign in July in the S show that is college football and a whole lot can change? No, that's not particularly fair. Guess what? The current system isn't fair at all. Yeah. It's not fair to Ole Miss. It's not fair to Tulane or North Texas. It's not currently fair to Oregon over the last 24 hours who are losing both their coordinators. Yeah. But this would solve some of those issues. Yeah. And I do think that's the best situation. Again, and I can't scream this loud enough, until you get a collective bargaining agreement.
Which no one wants, because then it cuts into your profits.
Except that it is fair. Yes. And every professional sports organization in the world has a collective bargaining agreement, except college football, and college football makes more money than the NBA and Major League Baseball.
Well, almost every industry does it, right? Police union does it, fire union has it, steelworkers have it, teachers have it, and yet here we are with an $18 billion league that is only existing for one purpose, and that's the giant money grab. Hence Cal being in the Atlantic Coast Conference and the Pac-12 dying and all these super bloated conferences. I mean,
but if the Pac-12 would have marketed better, and if they'd have taken their hands off the wheel with some of the rules with recruiting, because the Pac-12 was really strict. I know that from covering recruiting at that time. They were really strict about paying players and paying guys for visits. You used to get $5 to $10 grand to take an official visit to an SEC school, and that was before it was legal.
Sure,
that was the going rate, and everyone knew it. So there were times where a guy was committed, and then he'd take an official to LSU and Auburn or whatever, and he was committed to Alabama. These are just examples. People would say, he's locked in with Alabama. Why is he doing that?
10 grand.
Because he got $5 to $10 grand to take that visit, and they're willing to pay it on the off chance that they can flip him.
Yeah.
So this idea that the Pac-12 died because they didn't evolve is kind of true. But some of it is honestly, they tried to play by the rules while the SEC did whatever they wanted. And I knew a coach that was a source for me in the Pac-12. He went down to the South and was coaching, and this was before NIL, and said, we have salary caps. I mean, it's not official, but we have a certain amount of money we spend for our recruiting class, and we have a certain amount of money we spend for our current roster to keep guys here and keep them happy. So when NIL started, they went, okay, let's just make this front-facing. And the Pac-12 was like, I don't know what to do. We don't know how to do this. And that's why USC and Washington had such a hard time, whereas Oregon got an SEC coach that went, I know exactly how this works, and I've seen it.
And I'm bringing in my guy from Texas A&M, that put together the most expensive recruiting class of all time.
Right, so I know how it works, right.
So is the system broken? There's components of it. Is the sport broken? No, it's more popular than ever. That's all I'm saying. We can sit here and scream about it all we want, but at the end of the day, people like screaming. Paul Feinbaum makes a bunch of money off of it. ESPN makes a bunch of money off of it, and we keep watching. The only way, I know we'll get on the other side, and we're way against it, but the only way that any of this stops is if people stop watching. You only get it. No one will change anything until you stop watching and you stop voting with your dollars, and that ain't happening anytime soon. All right, we'll put a bow on this, and then when we come back, maybe talk a little Oregon State. We'll have some press conference stuff, because that was a big deal. I mean, we were talking about Stein and Lepoy, but Oregon State has a new leader of men today officially. So much to get to, and the rankings coming out sometime in the next hour. So a lot to go here on a Tuesday edition of Primetime right here on The Fan.
Your leg bone connected to your knee bone. Who's in, who's out?
Why?
This is the Injury Report, brought to you by Zoom Care. Health on your schedule.
With the weather, with you talking about the weather being kind of up in the air right now, and with that plate in his shoe, is there any conversations about maybe doing something different? Like, does that create any issues?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's someone asking Zach Taylor about the plate in Joe Burrow's shoe.
Some reporters,
is it going to get a little chilly on that? I like that. I don't know. Maybe
they just gotta ask some weird questions sometimes, man. They gotta feel important, right?
This injury report brought to you by Zoom Care. More than 20 neighborhood clinics in Oregon and Southwest Washington. Convenient access to same-day urgent and emergency care. Schedule or learn more at zoomcare.com.
Whether you're looking
Souk on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Let's get back on the clock here with a little shorty here, and then when we come back, we'll play some Jamarcus Shepard audio, because amongst this coaching carousel, Oregon State does have a new guy. I listened to his press conference today, and I came away impressed. Now, it doesn't mean much. It's a press conference, but I do think first impressions matter, and I thought it was a good first impression down at Oregon State for Coach Shepard. And I like the swing that they took, and you're hearing some good things about Oregon State maybe trying to close on a recruiting class with the new coach.
Yeah, they reached out, and they've reached out to a number of folks in the region, just trying to better understand the region. And I think that's a really positive step. I've talked to some recruits who say they either won't sign Wednesday or have a tough decision to make already based on quick conversations. I had a phone call with Brandon Sprague, because I'm going to do a hit for them tomorrow on their show, and he was saying, what is it that a kid could potentially in like 24 hours, 48 hours flip to a school? And that speaks to, when you have some dynamism in your personality, you've got a chance to potentially make an impact. I would really be watching for Lance McGee if I'm Oregon State. Dynamic runner, 5 touchdowns, 300 yards in the state semifinals. But just in general, it seems like there are some kids now who are going, hey, I kind of like the direction of Oregon State, in less than a week, I should mention. And I might not sign, because I kind of want to see if this staff's going to reach out, or they have reached out and they're trying to feel things out and see what they could potentially get in the portal. And if I fit, and it's worth me waiting to see if I could be a part of this. That's really encouraging, because that was not the sentiment a week ago.
And we'll hear, there'll be a clip in there, but listening to it, one of the things that he said is, we have to be local. He said, I need the kids from this state.
They have zero.
Yes.
They have zero in-state scholarship commitments, and they only offered 3 kids in this cycle.
Well, it sounds
and they
like
pulled the offer from at least one of them.
It sounds like Coach Shepard is going to change that. So we'll hear from the next Oregon State, or the new Oregon State coach, when we come back. Primetime here on The Fan.
At Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This update is brought to you by Redtail Golf Center's holiday sale. It's going on now with up to 50% off all your holiday golfing needs. Redtail Golf Center, where we guarantee the lowest holiday prices. Visit us at golfredtail.com. First on the fan, breaking news in the last hour or so. Oregon defensive coordinator Tosh Lapoy going to be officially accepting the Cal Bears head coaching job. That's according to Pete Nakos of On3. And once again, this is just a day after the Ducks lost their offensive coordinator, Will Stein, to the University of Kentucky. Both, though, expected to remain with the team through the college football playoff. A bunch of other news still continuing on this spinning college football coaching carousel. BYU head coach Kalani Sitake pulling a 180 has informed people he plans to stay at the university after being heavily linked to the Penn State opening. And elsewhere, new LSU offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr., who followed Lane Kiffin to the Tigers earlier this week, will be allowed to return to Ole Miss for the college football playoff. He had been with the Rebels since 2022. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of dirt and spray. Weekday morning 6 to 10 a.m. The Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Okay, everyone, shut up and look at me.
Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
The less I know about other people's affairs, the happier I am. I'm not interested in caring about people.
Isaac Robb.
I once worked with a guy for 3 years and never learned his name. Best friend I ever had. We still never talk sometimes.
Jason Sukanik.
I also think it's pointless for a human to paint scenes of nature when they could just go outside and stand in it.
Primetime on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 and 1080.
Please do not misinterpret the fact that I am talking right now as genuine interest. End of speech.
The Fan.
Welcome back in hour two. We're talking a little college football because, well, college football is happening seemingly at a breakneck pace. And we were going to get to the Jamarcus Shepard presser, and we will. We'll play that audio. But the college football rankings are coming out right now, and we're now up to 13. We'll get to, there is some interesting stuff at the back half in the 20s because of the ACC title game. But right now, Vanderbilt at 14, Texas at 13. Even though Texas moved up 3 spots, I still think that there is no way that Vanderbilt or Texas get in. So I think the line of demarcation is right there at 12 with Miami. But the fact that Miami is at 12, which means Notre Dame is ahead of them, I don't know if there's a path for Miami to get in either. I really don't. So we'll see where Oregon lands in this, but the fact that Miami's at 12 and I'm guessing that BYU is going to be 11, and we'll see where we go. But this kind of basically eliminates any chance that Miami, Texas, or Vanderbilt really have any opportunity to go up, because none of them are playing any more games. So there's BYU at 11.
Winning, you're in.
Winning, you're in. BYU's done. If BYU loses to Texas Tech, they will not get the SMU treatment. They will be booted out. But BYU is the last team to have an opportunity. And if BYU does win, then it really closes the door, because then BYU and Texas Tech both go. So far, we haven't really seen anything in the rankings other than there was the idea of where does Miami land? Yeah. And the fact that Miami is at 12 essentially eliminates Miami.
I have a problem with this a little bit. Miami's a 2-loss team.
Yep.
They beat Notre Dame.
They beat Notre Dame
head-to-head.
Their resumes are very close.
And I do think that should matter.
It should. The biggest travesty in this whole thing is not Texas. It's not Vanderbilt. And there's Notre Dame at 10.
And they're 10-2 as well, except Miami beat Notre Dame.
The biggest travesty in this whole thing to me is that Notre Dame is 2 spots ahead of Miami. And both 10-2, both playing a heavy ACC schedule, obviously. Right. And on the field, Miami beat Notre Dame.
Yes.
I don't know what we're doing. At some point, 2 10-2 teams with somewhat similar schedules that played head-to-head. How on earth Notre Dame is ahead of Miami is beyond me, but this is where we're at. And so at this point, when we're comparing similar resumes and neither team has another game to play, I don't see a way in which Miami can leapfrog into this thing. The only conceivable way you could have in this is if Alabama, who now comes in at number 9, if Alabama gets drilled by Georgia in the SEC title game, I would also like to point out that Alabama is the number 1 seed in the SEC. It's not Georgia.
For all the chatter that DeBoer has not tanked the program, but has just drug the program down and the Saban years are over.
They beat Georgia. They're the number 1 seed in this thing.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that the only way that Miami could find a way to sneak in is if Alabama loses in the SEC title game and they drop from 9 all the way out. But the committee has loudly said that the title game should not punish you, although they're going to punish BYU with it. So
can I pose a question to you?
Yeah. And the rest, by the way, 8 and above is no matter they're in.
You're
no
in.
matter what. They're in, solid, locked in. So that's why I said 8 spots are already guaranteed. We have 1 spot guaranteed for the group of 5, and then either the ACC champion or another conference champion. So you only really have 2 spots to play with, and if BYU wins, you have 1 spot to play with.
Texas A&M falls 4 spots to 7.
Ole Miss
6 is Ole Miss. That means Oregon's 5.
Yeah. Which, by the way,
that's huge.
It is huge because Oregon's sitting there at 5, which is what we thought. Unless one of the top 4 teams ends up dropping out, Oregon will, at 5, will get to play the 12 seed, which is
going to be a not top 20, potentially a not really top 20 team.
Like a James Madison.
It will either be James Madison, Virginia, or Tulane or North Texas.
Those are so winnable.
Oregon,
clearly.
Oregon will be favored by 17 points against any one of those teams. And it will be at Autzen Stadium. There's Oregon officially at number 5.
That's huge. It's absolutely huge.
Yeah. The only thing that you could have happen in this, I still think there's an outside chance that Oregon could be a top 4 seed and get a bye. So here he goes. Texas Tech comes in at number 4, and which means obviously Georgia at 3, Indiana at 2, Ohio State at 1. Indiana and Ohio State are not falling out of the top 4.
No.
They're
not going to punish them for playing one another.
No.
Even I think if it were a blowout, and I don't think it will be, but even if it were.
I don't believe Georgia will fall out of the top 4. The interesting one is Texas Tech.
Yeah.
If Texas Tech were to lose to BYU, I could see a scenario where Texas Tech dropped 1 spot below and Texas Tech became the 5 and Oregon became the 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there is a possibility that could happen, but I still believe more than likely, BYU is not going to beat Texas Tech. Oregon more than likely is going to end up being the 5 seed, which means they're playing the 12. Get ready for James Madison, Tulane, North Texas, or Virginia to come to your place.
2 things. 1, I think when you are the Oregon Ducks after last year, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Because you laid an egg. You were the number 1 seed, you were undefeated, and you got waxed.
Yeah.
And I think had you been 6 and played even a competent team in that first game, and you're at home and all that, if you lose that game, there are questions about your program in can they win in the postseason? Fair or not? By the way, I don't think it is fair. Yeah. But fair or not, there would be questions. Why 2 years in a row has Dan Lanning not won a playoff game if they were to lose? This gives you a runway where you get essentially like Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl again, where you get that like, hey, marquee win, a Fiesta Bowl championship for Dan Lanning, and no one ever says on his resume he didn't win a big game. He will win a college football playoff game more than likely this year because they're going to play the worst team in the college football playoff. Yeah. And that's huge. You get a little runway, and then, by the way, you play the 4. And the 4 is going to be the worst of those conference champions that get the auto bid. That could be a winnable game. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not Ohio State in your first college football playoff game. Yeah. This is a much easier path than they had last year. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and I said, can I ask you something? We're talking about teams in the college football playoff and teams not in the college football playoff. I pose to you, given Mario Cristobal, his time at Oregon, his time at Miami, he is the king of bubble team. Yeah. Because he loses 1 or 2 games every year he shouldn't, and most teams lose a game somewhere along the line that just is a tough game. And Mario has been known to lose that game. So Mario's ceiling, everywhere he's been, for the most part, feels like a 2-loss team. In the ACC right now, that's bubble. He was on the bubble last year. He's on the bubble this year. And again, in both cases, did he have the high highs? Yeah, he beat Notre Dame. Did he have the high highs at Oregon? Yes, they won some big games. But he also, because of his lows, is kind of going to put Miami in a spot where they are perennially the team that you go, yeah, they're good. Why the hell did they lose to Louisville? Why the hell did they lose to? And
SMU.
he is going to be a perennial bubble guy. That's who he is in his soul.
He's
a bubble guy.
He's kind of the James Franklin with more of an edge to him.
He could kick James Franklin's ass,
but that's about it.
But that's who he is. Yeah,
they're kind of the Penn State now.
Is that not fair?
No, it's very.
I think that's who he is.
It is.
And by the way, if you had, we talk about this in the NFL. If you were going to take a team in the college or in the NFL playoffs to make the AFC title game, most years you'd be safe taking the Chiefs. It's a bad example this year, but most years you take the Chiefs, you're going to get there. Yeah. I kind of feel like, gun to your head, you have to pick a team that's on the bubble for the college football playoff. For next year, I'd pick Miami. Because they're going to lose a game they shouldn't because Mario Cristobal's their coach.
And I want you to know that the craziest thing about the rankings is pay attention to it. So Virginia is the only ACC team not named Miami that is ranked. Miami cannot play, obviously, in the ACC title game. They are done. The ACC title game is Virginia and Duke. 7-5 Duke. But this is where it gets interesting. Did you see who was ranked at the bottom half of that? Number 25 was James Madison.
Correct.
James Madison is ranked. Pay attention to this. Because if Duke somehow beats Virginia, and by the way, I don't think that's going to happen. Virginia is actually a fairly decent team. And if Virginia wins, then Virginia ends up being the 11 seed. And the 12 seed is the winner of Tulane and North Texas.
Duke has a really good quarterback.
I know.
Be careful.
I'm just saying. Like, keep an eye on this. This is where it could get interesting. The two interesting things there's, my God, if BYU beats Texas Tech, there's no room for Notre Dame. There's no room for Miami. There's no room for Notre Dame. They get the heave. Look out. Because now we're losing it. That people are going to absolutely crap the bed. The other one is this ACC situation. If Virginia loses, Miami's not getting in.
Right.
And that means that the ACC champion will be Duke. Duke will be ranked behind not only the winner of Tulane and North Texas, who are both ranked in the top 25, but now James Madison. James Madison is 25. And when they win, I believe, I think they're playing Troy. Mm-hmm. And when James Madison wins, and if Duke wins, I want everyone to realize that the ACC will not get a team in this playoff. It will not be Duke. The ACC is not guaranteed. It is the 5 highest-ranked conference champions.
Correct.
And at that point, the 5 highest-ranked conference champions will be the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, the American Conference,
and
the Sun Belt.
Yep.
James Madison would go, and Miami at 10-2 will be sitting at home crying. And that's just the way it is. And by the way, that's not going to change. People are like, there's no way they would let it happen. Yes, they will.
It's the rules.
They just showed you that is a real possibility. Holy God.
And not only that, but that's not that unrealistic. Virginia has opened as a 3.5 point favorite over Duke.
Aren't we
the
all
spread's 3.5.
Aren't we all rooting for Duke at this point?
Yes. Are you kidding?
I want the chaos. Are you kidding me, man?
If Duke wins and James Madison is in and Miami isn't,
I want to see Tulane
and
James Madison.
And also realize, again, if BYU were to win, then BYU, North Texas, James Madison all go, and Texas,
and Indiana, by the way.
And Indiana, Texas, Vandy, Notre Dame, all gone. Miami out.
And
we have the potential for a holy hell chaos sort of situation where people will be screaming from the mountaintops that changes need to be had, and maybe they will, but it's not coming this year.
And some of this is reap what you sow. Because, and I've said this, you've said this eloquently a number of times, when you join a super conference, somebody has to go 8-4.
Yeah.
Somebody has to go 7-5. And you think it'll never be us.
Hell it is.
But if you're in a conference with Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss is suddenly on the rise. Florida, who's been good in various years, isn't great right now. Somebody's going to have a down year.
Yeah.
And guess what? 9-3 in a conference that loaded might not get you in the dance. And you know who signed up for it? You did.
Well,
so
unless
don't
you're
be
the
mad.
SEC.
Because if you were in the Big 12, if Texas and Oklahoma were in the Big 12, is there any question that they would be likely a game or two better and be in the dance? They chose this. Yeah. So you reap what you sow. And I don't feel bad for you because you screwed out Oregon State and Washington State of being part of things on the upper end. Yeah. And so, you now play a tougher schedule, and you don't get to be a part of the dance.
By the way, the one thing I will say, and then we'll go to break and we'll come back. We will get to the Jamarcus Shepard thing, and then we'll get to In the News. But get ready for this because it's going to happen with all these big schools. Alabama next year officially booted their South Florida game. It got removed. They're kicking it down the road from 2026 to 2032. That game will never be played, by the way. And the Crimson Tide also added home games with East Carolina. So you replaced South Florida with Chattanooga and you added East Carolina. I promise you Texas next year will not schedule Ohio State again.
Right.
Because it's not about strength of schedule. It's just not. It's about wins and losses. Because if Texas had not played Ohio State, if they had played the Chattanooga, Texas would be in this conversation, and now there's no way for them to be in this stand. So scheduling changes are coming, and that is an unfortunate part of it, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles at this point. When we come back, we introduce you to the new coach of the Oregon State Beavers right here on 105.1 The Fan.
Isaac and Suk on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
All right, college football heavy edition in the news coming up. 5 o'clock hour, we'll try to get some NFL stuff, but man, the college football world right now is just a spinning. Kind of pouring over the rankings here, and it really does feel like we're at the precipice now where there's only one spot up for grabs, and it's just Notre Dame. I feel like you have your playoff field at this point, and the only question is BYU. If BYU wins, that's your field. Notre Dame's out. If BYU loses, then it's Alabama and it's Notre Dame, and then the only thing left to be figured out is who ends up winning the back half of it. The ACC, or is it James Madison, or is it Tulane and North Texas? Right. But I kind of feel like the committee is telling you right now that there's really no room for anybody. Like this is, I feel like the field is set. Maybe some positioning, like you said, maybe Oregon can jump up to the 4, or maybe someone jumps to the 5 and Oregon falls to the 6. But essentially, I think you have your playoff field set. And I think that's what the committee is telling you at this point. So we'll get through the championship weekend, and then over the weekend we'll actually see where we go. But I would expect Oregon to stay at the 5 and probably end up playing North Texas, Tulane, or James Madison, and they will be favored by 3 scores, I think, against every one of those teams. So lines up really well for Oregon being at the 5 seed. Down in Corvallis today, we had a press conference because over the weekend, I think on Friday, we heard that Jamarcus Shepard was going to be the next coach at Oregon State. He had his introductory press conference. We clipped up some audio, and I know you didn't get a chance to listen to all of it. I listened to the whole thing today. I was actually just watching it on YouTube while I was working out. And I'll say my first impression of Jamarcus Shepard, I see why they hired him. Yeah. We heard that he was an energetic force and he really wanted this job. And you can see when you listen to these clips why Oregon State wanted Jamarcus Shepard. And he was one of the early guys that they singled out. And I guess he was lobbying for it really hard. This wasn't one of those like, hey, if I get it, I get it. He wanted this job from the get-go. So let's talk about, this was goals for the team coming in from Jamarcus Shepard.
These are really my goals as a football program. We will win the Pac-12 championship and a bowl game with class, integrity, and academic excellence. That is what we will do here.
This was his message to the players.
I hope they receive that it's about to be hard. It's going to be very, very hard. I want to create adversity for them. I think that the best things in your life that you've achieved have come from those adverse moments and learning how to deal with adversity. I tell you what, in this day and age of NIL, some players, this will be the most money that they will have ever made in their life. I think about this all the time. It'll be the most they maybe ever make in their life. And what are they going to do when that first job comes up and they're offering them $35,000 a year for that job? How are they going to respond? Or the first time, they find out something about their child that they're not excited about, or the first time, their wife, wants to get a divorce, how are they going to respond to adversity? And here at Oregon State, we're going to teach that. We're going to make sure they know and understand how to deal with adversity in a real way. And then
one of the things that I thought was one of the underlying message that he had time and time again is he really emphasized that this was more than just football. He talked about him and his wife being involved in the community. He's getting together and he's inviting every other head coach at Oregon State to come to their house to a barbecue. He really was emphasizing community and wanting to build something there at Oregon State. And for a school that kind of feels like it's been abandoned, I can see why that was a big, probably feather in his cap, that was his message when he met with leaders.
Yeah, one of the things I talked about, I joined a Spaces for Oregon State fans in the middle of the year, and they were disgruntled, and I said part of it is you guys don't really have a culture of your football program, yeah. and I didn't mean that as a shot to they're not good or they haven't had a history. They've had a very rich history, including a Fiesta Bowl win over Notre Dame. Yeah. Where are those faces? Yeah. They're not around, yeah. And that's a problem. And you even hear this from the Oregon guys. LaMichael James tweeted about this, I think, this week, that he feels great that the former players are welcome on campus and are a part of it. And he tweeted something like, this wasn't always the case. Yeah. And you don't get a sense that Oregon State taps into that and builds upon. They've produced a ton of NFL talent. Yeah. Isaac Siamalo, Chad Ochocinco, TJ Husmanjada, Derek Anderson, they've produced a bunch of talent. And those guys, in tapping into that and building a culture of like, hey, we've produced. And in fact, we've kind of outkicked our coverage when it's come to what we've recruited compared to what we've built. This can be an NFL factory. We have top 25 facilities. Come back. We'll roll out the red carpet for you guys. Recruits, we have things to showcase. We're going to be a top 3 brand in the Pac-12. I think all of those things are good. And by the way, I don't think he's wrong that this is a program that can make a bowl game sooner rather than later. And pretty quickly, just based on brand, Boise State, Washington State, Oregon State
should have a leg up.
Those are the 3 teams that should have a leg up to win the conference. And is there a reason, is there any reason that Oregon State, and no, you don't want to be compared to this, but is there any reason Oregon State in a couple of years can't be James Madison or North Texas, the team that wins 9, 10, 11 games and reigns on the college football parade and gets in? The path's certainly easier than it was for the last decade.
Yes.
I'll do you, even one better. I think over the next decade, Oregon State's win percentage will be at least 10% higher than it was the previous decade.
Yeah.
And I believe in Coach Shepard. I think he did a great job up at Washington. I heard great things when I was covering their recruiting. He's done a good job at Alabama. He's going to invigorate this program, and I think he might bring some real transfer portal help that they desperately need. I'm really encouraged. I think this press conference was very solid. I don't think it's a home run, but you know what? There's been a lot of press conferences that weren't home runs, and there's been a lot of press conferences that were bad that the coach ended up doing well. I think this was somewhere in the middle. And I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing, and I'm really encouraged that Scott Barnes didn't just do retread.
Yeah.
Get away from what hasn't worked and tap into a championship vein and see if you can't bring that to Corvallis.
And here is Coach Shepard talking about inviting some of those players back to campus because, again, this was another kind of just thread throughout the thing was building the culture and building upon what Oregon State's rich history is.
Let me tell you right now, all the alumni, get your butt back here, all right? I want you back here. I want you on the sidelines, okay? I want you engaging with our players. I want you sitting in meetings, okay? I want you sitting in my office talking to me about your experience here at Oregon State and how we can mirror that, all right, or how we can enhance that experience for our current student athletes. We want this to be the greatest experience in their lives as student athletes here at Oregon State.
Yeah, again, it was a very almost like preacher-like feel, right? It had that almost like a sermon sort of feel to it, where it really was about family, it was about culture, it was about community, and one of the things he talked about too was here's a clip of him talking about bringing in local talent. As you've pointed out, this last staff did a really, really poor job of making those inroads in state, and this is something that Coach Shepard directly addressed today.
I do believe that a nucleus of our football team needs to come from local areas, from Oregon and within a 5-hour radius of this institution. Why? Because I think that those young men are the ones that create part of the culture. They're taking people back home for Thanksgiving. They're taking people to the lake and taking them out skiing, and they understand the landscape of the area that we're in. So they are the nucleus of what we do, all right? And then also, I think that Oregon State has been its best when it's recruited from the Bay Area and South and Southern LA. They've done a great job of recruiting elite players from those areas of the country. But also we got to tap into Utah. We got to tap into Colorado. I've had a lot of success in Vegas with Roma Dunze and Jeremy Bernard and even Derek Meadows, these young men coming from that area. So I wanted to make sure that we were able to bring kids from our footprint into the program. And you can't do that without getting to know them. You have to really understand what makes them tick. You want to know their family environments. You want to know this. Do they love football? That will be a priority on this football team. You have to love football, okay? All right, and if we can get a bunch of kids out there flying around who love this game the way that I love it, then I think we'll be able to get to the level of success that we want to achieve.
Yeah, I just thought he really struck a lot of good chords.
Yeah.
Did he sound nervous at times? Yeah. Does he have some tics? If you took a shot every time he said, all right, or, sure. It's a guy that probably hasn't been on a lot of these stages. It's the first time head coach. He's never been a coordinator. So certainly there was some nervous energy there. I think he struck a lot of the right chords. And if you listen to that, that was a guy that, and he really made this point, that this was not just the first job that became available. He wanted this job. I mean, he said he fought for this job. This was definitely something that he talked about when he was at Washington State, when he was at UW, how hard it was to come in and play Corvallis, to play Oregon State and Corvallis, that he knew that there is something here, that they can be the best team in the Pac-12, that this is an opportunity. And yes, to the people that are going to be cynical and say, hey, the first time he wins 11 games, he's gone. Yes, that's the way this works. It just is. I mean, for God's sakes, Ole Miss won 11 games and they're gone.
What a wonderful problem to have.
Exactly,
when
right?
He wins 11 games, he'll be gone.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take the 11 wins.
You think North Texas right now or Tulane is really pissy that they're on the doorstep of a college football playoff? It's also why they're letting their coaches coach in these games. They understand what this is. But I do think that you took a swing at a guy today that has a lot of upside. We don't know how it's going to go, but I just thought he struck a lot of the right chords and struck me as someone that if I'm a fan and I'm an alumni, I would like to see what makes him tick.
Yeah.
And I just loved that idea of opening up the get your butts back here, inviting the other coaches to his house, talking about having Easter egg hunts at his house, talking about moving his kids here. This did not seem like a Jed Fish, my wife is staying in Arizona
right.
and I'm here.
Right.
This was, we're coming to plant our flag. And yes, that can ring hollow to people because we know the transient nature of coaches, but he struck me as a genuine guy and he struck me as a very likable guy. And I'm rooting for Oregon State. I think what happened to him sucked. And I think now at Washington State and at Oregon State, I think you have really good coaches. And I think you have a bright future if done right in this new Pac-12. And believe it or not, actually better access. I know it's not going to be the same financially and all that, but you actually have a better chance of reaching the college football playoff with where you're at now than had you landed in the Big 12 or landed in the ACC. The money's not the same, obviously, and you're going to have to do more with less, but the actual opportunity to get there is going to be easier.
I think he touched on a number of things that are really important. I think there were intentional shots in there. The Lake Oswego. Hello, Lake Oswego, Lake Ridge.
Yeah.
2 pipeline programs. 5-hour drive away. That's hello, Seattle. He mentioned the Bay Area and Southern LA. Those are going to be recruiting pipelines.
You have to win.
Las Vegas has Bishop Gorman High School.
Yeah.
That's one of the best high schools in America. Utah has a lot of linemen. They produce a lot of poly talent that comes out of Utah. Everything he said came across as very aware, and he is because he recruited at Washington. But those are things I look for when I'm looking at a recruiting. Does he understand the hotbeds? And he did. And he very intentionally sent some shots to say,
hey, we're coming.
This is where we're going to recruit. And he's right. That is where they should recruit. I think that was really encouraging. Also, I feel very comfortable saying this. When Gary Anderson was hired, I told people he will fail miserably. The buzz I heard was terrible. I speak for only myself, and I'm not naming names here, but I do know there are other folks who said this. I reached out to a number of people when Trent Bray was hired, to a man.
Yes, by the way, you have said this 1,000 times over.
Every single person I spoke to said he will fail. Yeah. He is not likable. Nope. He is not a personality. He's going to be a wet sponge in press conferences. He does not ingratiate himself when he recruits. It goes very badly. It's awkward. It's not comfortable. And I thought Bray was an absolute disaster. And further, I thought it was a sign that Scott Barnes absolutely panicked because every single person I spoke with, to a man, former teammates, guys who were on his staff, even after, hey, I need a job, but this is not going to work. Everyone said Trent Bray's a bad hire. Yeah. You know what people say about Coach Shepard? Really energetic guy, going places, knows what he's doing, likable, a big part of why we've had success. Okay, sign me up. Yeah. I'm in. Yeah. And I totally believe it's going to work. I do.
And no matter who you are, from Lane Kiffin to Coach Shepard, nothing's guaranteed. But I think you made an educated guess, and I don't think anyone can criticize that. Now we wait a couple years and we see what the results are.
Let's see who his coordinators are. Let's see who's calling plays on both sides of the ball. Yeah. But at least on paper, this makes sense, and this is not hiring scared. And I think for the last couple years, Oregon State has moved on the chessboard in fear, more. And Washington State has moved to try to at least continue momentum and stay the course.
One's at a bowl game, and one is going through one of the worst seasons that they've had in modern history. And the scared thing is 100% correct. Trent Bray was the last guy that was willing to get off the plane. And that's why he got it. Because he played linebacker here and he was willing to get off the plane. And that's not a reason to hire anyone. It just isn't. The idea of you have to hire a Michigan man, by the way, that absolutely drives me nuts. Oh, well, he played here. Who gives two flying whatever? Dan Lanning didn't play here. Turns out he was pretty good. Kalen DeBoer didn't play at Washington. Turned out he was pretty good. Hire a guy that has big upside, and I think Oregon State, we can all agree, made a good hire today. It's a big swing. Now we see how it plays out. When we come back in the news, here, though, is Schultze with a little update.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This update is brought to you by Mountaintop Metal Roofing. No maintenance, energy efficient, fire resistant, and a lifetime warranty. Do it once, do it right. Visit mountaintopmetalroofing.com. First on the Fan, a very busy afternoon in college football. Oregon moving up one spot to number 5 in the latest version of the college football playoff rankings. That would currently slot them to face number 12 Tulane in the first round, though that could change after conference championship weekend. Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, and Texas Tech currently round out the top 5. Elsewhere in college football, or actually right here in Eugene, the Ducks finding out today that defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoy will officially accept the head coaching position down at Cal University, and that is less than 24 hours after losing Will Stein to Kentucky University, though both coordinators reported that they are likely to coach the Ducks through the college football playoff. And elsewhere in college football, big news for BYU head coach Kalani Sitake has reportedly informed people close to him he plans to stay at the university. He is getting a new contract worth almost $10 million to stay as the coach of the Cougars. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultze from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of Ducks Game Day. Before and after every Ducks football game this season. The Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 10. FM and 1080 AM.
All right, welcome in. Fast and furious day of college football. Got a in the news coming up here, and then in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll try to shift gears a little bit, maybe try to talk some NFL because we just haven't been able to get to much of it at all. But right now, it is December 2nd, the year of our Lord 2025, and that means it is time for In the News. I'm your noted news contributor, sitting in for your noted news man. It is National World Trick Shot Day, if that does anything for you. What is that? What is it, Dude Bro? I still can't believe that those guys are made a living out of that.
I love Justin Herbert a lot.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. I've known him since he was in high school. I called him an NFL prospect when he was not rated. I love that guy. It bothered me and changed my view of him. Dude, he said that show was his favorite show on TV.
Yeah, that's weird.
It really was weird.
This is one of those things that I know I'm out of touch. Because this is what I've learned through having kids. Like, just because you don't get something doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile.
Sure.
Like, I had to figure that out. Like, for years and years, like, things that my kids were into, I was like, how on earth is this what you're into? And I'm like, just shut up. That's what they enjoy. Sit down and do it with them. I struggle with some stuff. And, like, this is one of those that Dude Bro and National Trick Shots, that is so popular. It breaks my mind.
I call it the is it cake category.
Yes.
Of
yes.
life.
At least that's more
Like,
entertaining.
how is that a show? Is it cake?
Because it involves some sort of skill.
I'm
Like
not
there's
gonna lie. I've watched this kid.
yeah.
No, God.
I've watched
It's a good show.
dude.
My daughter's 7.
When I get
And watch
fooled,
that show
when I get fooled by the cake, I'm not gonna lie. I get a little giddy. I'm like, because it's one of those, like, when you first start watching, like, this is so dumb, and you're like, there's no way. Oh, it's cake. And then you're like, ah, damn it.
But you've watched like a whole season, or you've like caught yourself watching a clip? Because those are different things.
Oh, I've watched every season.
That explains a lot.
I've watched Halloween version. They just came out with a holiday version for Christmas, man. You kidding me?
There you
Well,
go. No.
Again, I put Trick Shots along with Is It Cake?
I've seen Is It Cake? Am I aware of the holiday version of it? No, but I think we're getting a glimpse inside the worlds of the Schnitzel Wolf.
How about like The Floor is Lava? That's also a show.
That's
like,
a show?
How is that a show?
Wait, I love Floor is Lava.
Oh,
like that.
no.
That's a show.
Oh wow! See, that's
a show.
I'm
What?
with
Where
you on
have
that,
I
Nemec.
been?
That's a game show.
I loved Floor is Lava as a kid.
It's a game show that's recurring. Can you even possibly imagine watching that as an adult?
Well, look, we're
At 12 p.m. in the afternoon, I couldn't.
we are 2/3 of the way to Idiocracy. So at this point, I think Floor is Lava or Is This Cake or Dude Bro is probably on the better end of what's available out there. It's also the National Day of Giving. So, day after Thanksgiving, it's the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It's the National Day of Giving. So I don't know, maybe if you got a couple extra bucks in your pocket, go find someone in need. And around this time of the year, it's always nice whether you do like a toy drive or, whatever, provide a little something for someone around the holidays that's got a little worse than you. And then I struggle with this one. It's National Mutt Day. And this is one thing about me that bothers me. I don't do mutts. I've never had one. I always have purebred dogs, and it bothers me. Not only do I have purebred dogs, but I usually buy like my purebred dogs.
It bothers you about yourself?
Yes.
Or it bothers you that there are mutts?
It bothers me that about myself.
Okay.
Like, I want to be the mutt guy. I want to be the guy that walks into the shelter and is like, look at this Lhasa Apso mix. Oh my God. Like, this is awesome. Or like, dude, me and this beagle are going to solve mysteries. Like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
My dogs have only been mutts.
Yeah.
In fact, we have Gobi right now, and he's a German Shepherd Lab Pit mix.
What?
And he is the coolest freaking dog in the world.
I can't.
I take him for walks to the school at night. He loves to night walk. He's all black, so you can't see him, and then you see these eyes coming at you. The only problem is the shelter, because they heard us talking. And we said we want a medium-sized dog, no bigger than 60 pounds. And they're like, well, his mom was only 50 pounds. His dad was 70 pounds. He is a 98-pound dog.
And this is what I'm saying. I don't like going in not knowing. I like knowing this is the breed I'm getting, right? I'm getting him when he is a puppy. I get to raise it. I don't know what that... And it's so terrible. I don't want to be this way. But I go get a dog from the shelter. I have no idea what that dog's going to be like when it grows up. I have no idea the size of it. I have no idea if that dog's been through some sort of traumatic experience, right? I have no idea. It's like, oh, this dog is great until it's not and decides to rip my face off because its last owner like put cigarettes out on it. I like getting a blank slate.
I get
where it's like, this is my puppy. All the experience he has were going to be experiences with me. And when I got my Old English Bulldog, I knew what an Old English Bulldog looked like. I have an Akita now. And when I got the Akita, this was his dad. This was his mom. This is what he's going to be. This is how big, like, I knew what I was getting. I knew what the breed is prone to. Mm-hmm. I know, this is how you should manage this breed. This is how this breed needs to be trained. And I hate that I'm like that. I want to go get a mutt and rescue.
You're a dog elitist.
I am.
That's cool.
I 100% am.
I don't think you're a dog elitist.
He absolutely is. He absolutely is.
I have had 9 dogs in my adult life.
What's the least you paid for a dog?
Well, I've rescued a senior or two.
Some Akitas, though, right?
So it's
what's the least you paid for a dog?
Yeah, it's not good.
Say it out loud.
It's not good.
Say it out loud.
It's not good.
Right.
It's not good.
He's an elitist. He's a dog elitist.
It's bad.
Well,
like purebred dogs now, it's a scam.
It is.
They're so expensive, but like I wrote the check. You don't want to know.
You're not going to say the number?
No, it's bad.
How many figures?
It's an embarrassing.
It's 4 figures.
It's bad. Yeah,
okay.
It might be 5 figures.
No.
Dogs don't
they're not that bad. But
a purebred, really expensive one, you can find it for $20 grand. Yes,
I'm not in that, and I'm not in that range. But dude, a lot of dogs now are in that $2,000 to $4,000 range.
I mean, I'm with you, Suk. They don't know, cats or dogs, if you go to like a shelter, they half the time don't even know like how old those animals actually are. We got our cat, it was 8 months old. They told us it was already 3.
Yeah.
They had no idea.
No. We had someone in my family that got a dog, and same thing, they told them that the dog was like 3 or 4 or something.
No.
The dog was 9 and had cancer.
Oh my
God. They
God.
took it to the vet after they had it like 6 months or something. The vet was like, dude, this is a senior dog. And oh, by the way, like a few months later, the dog had cancer and I was like, oh my God, like, I like knowing what I'm getting. And I wish I wasn't that way, but I am. I like being able to look at the mom. I like being able to look at the dad. I like being able to look at the family at which it comes from. I'm like, yeah, all right, I like you people. You seem legit. And I like knowing that dog's going to be with me for 10 years. I'm going to have it around me, my kids, my friends, everybody. I want to know what I'm getting. I don't like rolling the dice and being like, well, we'll see what happens.
So when you first get a dog, you're not 100% sure because they're, especially when you get them young, they're kind of dumb and obnoxious.
Yes.
And you love them, but God, you just get tired of them.
Yeah.
Gobi ingratiated himself forever. Someone pulled up to the school, and we were at a school to play, and told my daughter they were looking for a dog and please get in their car. They had no license plates on their car. It was a woman. There was a man in the front seat. It was super sketchy. They had tinted like black windows. Again, no license plate, and said, "Come with me." And Gobi got between them and like viciously, and he's not a vicious dog, did the like snarl growl and bite the like German Shepherd. Lost his S, and the lady got back in her car. Gobi's good with me forever. So shout out to the mutts on National Mutt Day.
It's also National Special Education Day. So those people, by the way, that are in that line of work, you're doing God's work. Some of the sweetest individuals are special needs kids that are going through school, and God bless the people that are working with them.
My brother was born handicapped and passed away, and he had special needs teachers that absolutely changed his life.
Some of the sweetest individuals.
And there are some little victories, just like learning to be potty trained, learning to get yourself dressed and everything, and they do all that work. They deserve incredible, incredible praise. So shout out to all of them. I
got derailed by the National Mutt Day thing. When we come back, we'll squeeze in 1 or 2 stories. We'll get into the NFL stuff at the 5 o'clock in the news, an abbreviated edition when we come back. Primetime here on The Fan.
This is the Fan's window into sports. A view into today's top stories. Brought to you by Window Nation. Online at windownation.com.
Try now by Younghoe Koo, and he stumbled. Gillen gets swallowed up. Patriots ball. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, that's maybe the worst kick I've ever seen in my entire life. My man Koo, he was good, and then he decided to not be good, and I've never seen someone kick the ground.
That looked like AI, and I don't know if you heard what he said after the game, Suk, but he reportedly, because the ball slipped, he said he'd second-guessed himself. I don't know.
It's not good. It's not going good for the It's not going good for the Giants.
He's embarrassing. Ooh. All right, this Window into Sports brought to you by Window Nation. This December, you'll save big with 50% off all window styles. You can get 0% financing for 5 years. Schedule your free consultation at windownation.com.
No heat in your home? When's the last time?
Isaac and Sue on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
All right, we are the definition of up against it here with in the news. So I'll just squeeze in one or two stories here. Neither one of them particularly good. I was trying to find some upbeat positive news, but there wasn't really anything good. Unionized legacy health workers are going on strike, like nurses' assistants and whatnot. So that's not good.
Shout out to the nurses.
Shout out to the nurses out there. 19 affordable Portland apartments that are available for basically Section 8, like low-income housing. They're being unused right now.
Shocking.
We have almost 2,000 apartments that are sitting.
And we want to build more.
That are sitting unused right now. What are we doing? And on top of it, the Nordstrom rack in downtown here, they're off of Morrison, that will officially close at the end of
Oh, finally. I don't know if you've ever been to that location.
It's rough.
The shelves were empty for a while.
It's
not the
good.
Nordstrom, the Nordstrom,
the Nordstrom rack.
The
Nordstrom rack. I can't afford to shop at the Nordstrom. I do shop at the Nordstrom rack, but yeah, if you go to the one, there's one out in Clackamas, there's one in the airport,
Washington
Square. The Nordstrom rack is fine. In fact, they've opened 25 of those this year around the country. It's just that this one down here is not going good. So
I went through a stretch in my 20s where I would hit the Nordstrom rack relatively often, and I would look for designer jeans.
Yeah.
And I got lots of pairs of, like Seven, True Religion. I would buy designer jeans from the Nordstrom rack.
And they quit the Sevens.
Yeah, just
let's go.
Designer jeans, whatever was in at the time. I don't think 7s are particularly in now for men.
They're not. No.
But they were 15 years ago or whatever.
The white stitching.
Yeah.
The big brass button pockets.
But not the ones with the like heavy stitching. But anyway, that used to be my bag. So shout out to Nordstrom Rack. Sorry, you're going out of business, although it sounds like it's gone downhill much like the 7G.
We just need some more foot traffic down in Portland. I'm always stumping for the city. I love this city. I think we're doing a better job. I was walking around downtown last night, was cruising around with some clients that were in town, and I'm telling you, it isn't bad down there. We just got to get some more foot traffic, and we got to get some businesses to stick around, and the mayor did say, he came out and said, it's just sad anytime big stores like that decide to leave downtown. We're just not getting the foot traffic in downtown to support a lot of these businesses. So that was a little bit of a bummer.
My wife and I did a date night last week, and we just drop us off at the first bar.
Yeah.
And we're going to walk around to various bars in Portland.
Love it.
We finished at Silk Road. Have you ever been to Silk Road?
Yeah, Silk Road's nice.
Silk Road's really good.
Yeah.
Silk Road was a good time.
Yeah.
So we got like a sample platter thing and a drink or 2 or 3 at each spot and went to 3 different spots. Finished at Silk Road, sat up at the bar. That's a really good time.
Yes.
And so you can still do, and we at no point felt unsafe. No. We had a really good time. So it's coming back somewhat. I don't necessarily think losing a Nordstrom Rack is like the defining sign that Portland's going in decline. It might actually be the opposite.
Well, Nike came back. They opened their store. There's, so that's good. They're back in the city.
Isn't that right around the corner from this closing Nordstrom Rack too? They're pretty close.
So it's we're getting some positive signs. So I want the city. I'm a fan of the city. I love this city, and I'm always stumping for it. So whenever there's like negative closing news, REI or Nordstrom, whatever, I'm like, God damn it, because everyone loves to crap on it. And they're like, you're always saying it's good down there. I say it's getting better, and it's not nearly as bad as what people are saying. So if you can, get on downtown. No one's going to do anything to you. At least we don't think so.
Hopefully not.
There's in the news. We come back, we'll shift gears. We'll talk a little NFL. Primetime here on The Fan.
and 1080.
You guys are number one.
The Fan.
Well, I'm number one. Rob's number two, or going number two. I don't know, he's got cat AIDS or something again. He's got the feline illness. He's got the crud. So no Rob today as he continues the Lane Kiffin watch. As we pointed out, 4-day weekend over Thanksgiving. Rob's sick Monday, sick Tuesday.
He's off Friday.
Schedule the day off. Tomorrow, that's the line of demarcation. If he's not in tomorrow, 0 chance he's in on Thursday. And then he rides this thing out for like a 10-day weekend. His immune system is amazing because he is sick. He is legitimately sick, even though he boasted not more than a month ago about how his immune system is now robust and he's never sick. And yet here we are. But when he does get sick, he has the innate ability to time sickness around days off to where he can extend vacations like an extra week based on vacation and illness. It's the damnedest talent. Like, we all have a hidden talent that God gives us, and I know he's a godless heathen, but this is an otherworldly talent. It's always around a holiday or around a vacation. It's what he does. It's incredible.
I see your 4-day weekend and raise you 10-day weekend.
Yes. He'll be gone for like a 10-day trip to Vegas, and then his last day in Vegas, he gets sick, and you're like, oh, man, that sucks. But then it's like, well, my 10-day thing just turned into a 15-day thing. It's kind of incredible.
I think Odyssey needs to start requiring him to wear gloves and a mask everywhere he goes. Like, contract, Rupp. Next time you sign one, they will be forcing you to wear some protective gear.
Well, I think it's the holidays and travel that he's just around a lot of people. He claims to have a robust immune system.
Yeah, you start ping-ponging around more people. We saw those COVID diagrams. The more you ping-pong, the more chance you have of running into disease. Yeah. In NFL world, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I want you to rank these 3 teams in terms of panic meter, from 1 being most panic to 3 being least panic.
The patented Joey Harrington worry meter, if you will.
Sure.
But instead of Ducks, we will do the NFL?
Yes.
All right.
Ravens just lost to the Bengals 32-14. Don't seem right. Hey, let me get through my 3 teams. Texans beat the Colts.
Yeah.
I'm worried. The Indianapolis Colts. Seems like things are starting to spiral.
So I'm worried
Daniel Jones has a broken leg.
Yeah, so so not the Texans.
I'm not done yet. No, it's not the Texans.
Yeah,
it's the Colts.
You're the Colts. Okay.
I front-loaded that I back-loaded that.
I was confused there. I was like, wait, I'm not worried about the Texans. The Texans got a lot of momentum going on right now.
And the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Baltimore Ravens, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Who are you most worried about, least worried about? Because it felt like, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We were likely talking about 3 playoff teams and the Chiefs perennially in the Super Bowl or AFC title game. The Ravens are a major threat to get there every year, and the Colts looked like the super team of the AFC.
Yeah.
And now you've got some concerns about all 3 of them.
Well, I will tell you this. I think even though they're the best team of that group, and I think it's by a significant margin, the team that I am most worried about is the Kansas City Chiefs. And when you look at like playoff odds, and you can go through and they have predictors based on what your schedule is in the playoff picture, the fact that the Chiefs are in the same division with the Chargers and the Broncos, they're not winning that division. I mean, it's impossible. In fact, I think right now, I'll have to look it up. I want to say they have it's around a 40% chance to make the postseason. I'll have to look up the playoff predictor, but like they cannot win the division. That's gone. And they are less than a 50-50 chance at this point to make the postseason.
46%.
46%. So despite what Andy Reid is talking about where they're going to tickle your tonsils with every game, I mean, the Chiefs essentially have to be perfect from here on out. And by the way, the Kansas City Chiefs are more than capable of being perfect. But when I pull up, I'm going to scroll here. Let me look up my chef's schedule here. Because we kind of thought that when they were able to, where'd it go here? Where are my Chiefs?
I've got it.
Okay.
You want me to give it to you?
No, I say it. No, don't give it to me for the love of God.
Oh, I want to give it to you.
But when they beat the Colts, right? That was one of those where it was the idea that if they lost to the Colts, it was like, oh my God, the chances are less than 50-50. But they got by the Colts. And then you're like, okay, there's some breathing room there.
Mm-hmm.
But then you followed that up with a terrible loss to the Cowboys, and now we're back in that same we have to be perfect. And now you got the Chargers, which Justin Herbert has a broken hand and they have no offensive line.
No, they got the Texans.
Oh, the Texans next. I'm sorry.
Which is problematic.
Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders, right? Texans is problematic because the Texans do appear to have figured some stuff out offensively. This is the best combination. They move some guys around the offensive line. Stroud's back, and the defense is the best in the NFL. That's not an easy out.
Nope.
And then you got the Chargers. Herbert's got the busted hand. Is Justin Herbert playing? We don't know. He's having surgery. We don't know how long he's out, if he's going to miss any time. He played with that busted bone in his hand last week, but that's a big one. That's not a gimme. The Titans or whatever. And then you got the Broncos. The Broncos might be the best team in the NFL right now, this side of the Rams. Are the Broncos playing for anything when they play them the second week of the second to last week of the season, and then you end up with the Raiders? There is a path there for the Chiefs to be perfect. There is.
Yes.
The only team that I would say really scares you is Denver, but Denver may not be playing for something. And the Texans and the Chargers, tough challenges, but especially as beat up as the Chargers are, the Chiefs could do this.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no room for error. If they lose another game, they are probably done. So my worry meter for them is sky high. Whereas I look at the Colts and I look at the Ravens, they're going to make the postseason.
I wouldn't be so sure about those Colts, man.
The Colts are going to make it.
I'm concerned.
Look, I understand that the Colts are pulling the Scooby-Doo thing. They're ripping off the mask and showing you that Daniel Jones really is Daniel Jones. I think 3 of the last 4 games, they have not rushed for Jonathan Taylor's not rushed for 100 yards.
They might not win another game. No. Have you looked at their schedule?
The Colts,
they play at Jacksonville, then at Seattle, then they play the Niners, then they play they host Jacksonville, then they're at Houston.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
They're going to make, I think they have like a 68% chance of making
I bet they miss the playoffs.
I don't think they missed the playoffs.
Okay, I think they missed the playoffs.
So, but I would, and then the Ravens still are odds-on favorite to win that division because they play in the worst division. It's just absolute dog piss.
But they do look like they're, whereas traditionally when it's come to the postseason, they've kind of essed the bed.
Yeah.
And you go, they don't look right. They're doing that in week 13 and 14 this year instead of, or, week 12 and 13 instead of in the postseason. This is usually the time of year where we go, Harbaugh's got this thing rolling. The Ravens are the most dangerous team in the NFL.
Well,
Derrick Henry's running for 180 yards a game, and they don't look right, which worries me.
The whole thing is baffling because we kind of thought that the Ravens had got their feet underneath them. The defense had looked better.
Right.
And Lamar was getting, it was the idea of once Lamar gets healthy, here we go. Right? They're going to be fine. The bad part is, first off, they just lost to the Cincinnati Bengals.
32-14.
There is so much wrong with that. Can we also point out that the crappy Cincinnati Bengals, who are now 4-8, the week before, they did not play Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. Remember, they were like, well, we don't really have anything to play for. We're going to give them an extra week. And they lost that game. Mm-hmm. Had Joe Burrow played in that game, they are not 4-8. They're 5-7. Mm-hmm. And at 5-7, they would be 1 game behind the Steelers and the Ravens. And Joe Burrow, Cincinnati may have absolutely shot themselves in the foot by not playing Joe Burrow.
In Joe Burrow's foot?
I mean, think about that. Had Burrow played in that game.
Yeah, but you can't really do that.
I think you can because, he was fine. And they lost that game 26-20. Joe Burrow looked really good against the Ravens.
He's worth more than 6 points.
I'm just saying, had Joe Burrow played in that game and they found a way to win that, and believe it or not, the Cincinnati defense has decided to not be the world's worst defense of all time.
See, that's my question. Is that a Ravens issue, or is that actually the Bengals getting better? Because that's what worries me about the Ravens.
I just think it's interesting that Cincinnati, I know that's a conversation for another time, but sitting there at 4-8, they should be
5-7.
They could be 5-7, and then we're at a different conversation. The weird part is that Lamar has not looked right for a long time. He looked pretty good in that game. That was the best we've seen him move.
Agreed.
And he still was crap.
Right.
So I don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson, but Lamar does not look right now like even a top 10 quarterback. And for the last 6 years, Lamar Jackson has been a top 3 quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what's going on with the injuries, but that's your biggest concern right now, that you could not score more than 14 points against a team that, depending on what metric you're looking at, is one of the worst defenses in modern NFL history.
They might be the worst defense in the last decade. In some stats, they are, other than up until last week, where now they've held the Ravens to 14 points and they climbed up a little bit. Going into last week, there were folks who would argue that Bengals defense was the worst in a decade.
Yeah.
Lamar's relatively healthy, and Derrick Henry is healthy, and they scored 14 points. That makes no sense.
No.
And for what it's worth, I think the Chiefs make the playoffs, and I think the Colts do not. I want to just drop that little nugget.
If I had to, and this is why the Ravens should be number one on the worry meter, but they're not, because I think they're the one team that's going to make it.
It's the easiest path.
It's
to the
the easiest path.
Yes.
Whereas the Colts, I don't think the Chiefs do. And we'll talk about this. I know we're up against it when we come back. I'll tell you why I don't think the Chiefs make it. And by the way, this is not unprecedented that a team like Kansas City misses the playoffs. This does happen.
Welcome to the NFL. Yeah.
It's a weird, funky year, but we keep waiting for the switch to be flipped, and I'm not certain it's being flipped. And it's not just Kansas City. There's other teams that are in this field, and by the way, Baltimore might be one of those. How much of this is living off name recognition versus what you actually see on the field?
Hello, Philadelphia Eagles.
When we come back, Primetime here on The Fan.
Dirt and Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Welcome, man. We're talking a little NFL, a little college football break, because the NFL right now is bananas. If I were to tell you at the start of the year that the two best teams in the NFL are the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos with a side of the Rams, the only one of those that was believable was the Rams. I did really like the Rams going into the season. I said if Matthew Stafford's healthy, that was my Super Bowl pick. But the idea that the Denver Broncos are 10-2, and more importantly, the New England Patriots are 11-2, and Drake May right now is probably the MVP of the league. What a bizarro world. And that we could be staring at the Chiefs, the Lions not making the postseason. I wouldn't believe you. And then that you go through everything that San Francisco has been through, and yet San Francisco is 9-4. Like this is the most chaotic and just what the hell NFL season that I can remember. Because we say that about college football. We're like, oh my God, this is the most chaotic like playoff, and it could be anyone's game. I raise you college football, and I raise you the NFL. I mean, I honestly don't know if there really is an elite team. Like I thought the Rams were elite, and I still believe they were. They just lost to the Carolina Panthers, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but you lose. I mean, in the NFL, you lose games.
Yeah.
Like, it just happens. I don't necessarily take any one loss. Like, there's nothing about that Rams game that concerns me. You had a Stafford pick six and an interception in the red zone, and it was still a close game.
Sure.
And you're not going to have the Stafford pick six and a pick in the red zone very often.
Well,
it was just
an
an
outlier
outlier
too at the end of the game.
Right. It was just an outlier game. Those games happen because football, especially in the NFL, is a game of inches, and it comes down to like winning in the margins. I am surprised that the Broncos are this good given that Bo Nix has looked this uneven.
Yeah.
He is the Washington Huskies of the NFL, the Washington Huskies offense of the NFL in the sense that his highs are high, his lows are lows, or the Damon Williams Jr. if you want to. Yeah. And you could put a highlight package together where he throws some of the best balls you'll see. You can also put together his low lights and go, this dude is garbage. He's been all over the map. And the fact that they've been able to weather that storm and they look the way they do is great. I don't think they can string together 3 or 4 wins against fellow good competition. I just don't see that for them. I think the Rams could, but I think it is a lot like the college football playoff in the sense that there are several teams that if you squint, if we get in, we can win 3 or 4 games in a row. We're not a wild underdog to any of these teams. At the same time, there's nobody going, well, we're going to run through this thing. It's easy.
No, it's
everyone's in this, it's almost like if you tier, that they do tiers of contenders. It's almost like tier 1 is completely empty, and there are 6 or 7 teams in tier 2.5. It's just there's no dominant teams right now.
No, because again, I bring up the 11-2 Patriots. Is anyone really scared of the Patriots?
I think people should be.
I'm not.
I don't either. I don't.
No,
there is nothing about the Patriots that scares me. Just nothing. Now, give them credit. The win against the Bills, that 23-20 win, that was a monster win. It absolutely was.
Go through their wins.
This is what I say all the time. I scream this in the heavens every year. I say this about the Seahawks as well, right? If you get in the postseason and Drake May is playing this way, can you go on a run? Certainly. Absolutely you can. We've seen, the Arizona Cardinals, for God's sakes, came 1 play away from winning the Super Bowl, right? And those weren't great teams. The Giants won 2 Super Bowls, not great teams. But when I look at New England and I say, Drake May doesn't have a 300-yard passing game all year. His best weapon is Stephon Diggs and a running back that fumbles a lot. There are really good things to like about New England. But when I look at their wins, Dolphins, Panthers, now the Bills. That's the outlier, right?
That's the one outlier.
That's the one outlier. And that was 23-20, and the Bills have been kind of a weird. There's another one this year that I don't know what to make of the Bills.
Oh, I almost threw them into the worryometer.
You probably should.
Yeah.
They want to run all this big, heavy 12, 13 personnel, but when they can't run the ball, it goes to hell.
Right.
It's bizarre. And Josh Allen is back to turning the ball over. He's Josh Allen from 2 years ago. But I'll give him that. You get the Bills, right? But then the Saints, the Titans, the Browns, the Falcons, a Buccaneers team that's falling apart, the Jets, the Bengals, and the Giants.
And
There isn't a good win in there.
No.
And so when now they finish it off with the Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. So we'll give them the Bills, we'll give them the Ravens, we'll see what's happened in those 2 games.
They'll lose both of them.
We'll see. I think New England.
They'll lose both of them.
New England is a good team, But I think this smells to me more like the Commanders of last year. Now, to be fair, the Commanders made it to the NFC title game. Weird things can happen, but this is the Commanders. You have a good quarterback who, by the way, I think if you're saying from a quarterback standpoint, what Drake May is doing is way more sustainable than what Jaden Daniels did.
Yes.
Drake May is more young Joe Burrow, whereas Daniels last year was a phenomenal talent, but was kind of playing by the skin of his teeth and was just kind of getting by on being an athletic freak and just living in the margins. Drake May is just playing great ball.
I had Drake May in my draft profiles a whole tier ahead of Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
I did.
And despite Daniels' great year last year, this year it's incomplete because obviously the injury, Drake May is showing you that there is unbelievable football left to be played, and he's doing it without a lot around him. Like I said, there isn't another player on that team that particularly scares you on really either side of the ball. They don't have a defensive game record. They don't have an offensive game record. They're just solid. They don't beat themselves. They're well coached, and they beat bad teams.
They beat the Giants, the Panthers, the Jets, the Browns, the Bengals, sans Joe Burrow. And the Saints. They don't have any I seriously, I don't know that they're that's not fair. They're better than the Cardinals.
Yes.
But they're not a really good team. I don't think they're a top 3 team in the AFC. I just think they have the easiest schedule. And by the way, I think the Niners benefit from this too.
Yeah, and
look at the Niners situation.
The Seahawks have lost almost every game against a quality team that they've played. Right? And now some of those games are all close. Rams, Buccaneers, and Niners, but those are the only 3 teams that Seattle has played that are any good, and they have 3 losses.
Right.
Like, in order for me to consider you to be what I think is a scary team, you have to be able to beat the other teams. This is like what we do in college football. No offense, but I don't care what Oregon does against Sister Mary of the Poor. You can beat up the Dip-S's in the Big Ten. What happens when you play Indiana? What happens when you play Ohio State? Those are the games that I judge you on. And in the NFL, you can win a lot of games. See, last year, the Minnesota Vikings. You can beat mediocre teams and win double digits. It doesn't mean that you're a Super Bowl team. So I think there is a ceiling on what New England is going to be able to do. But it also says that if this thing is constructed right as it goes on, look out. Because New England's got the 2 things that you need to be good long-term. You have an elite coach, and you have a quarterback that looks like this is not a flash in the pan. It looks like a quarterback that is about ready to elevate himself to an elite status. And once you have that,
I would even raise you that the style of play that they play, and this kind of goes along with Vrabel and just having a good coach, the style they play lends itself to winning in the AFC playoffs, where you get a lot of Denver, obviously New England, you get a lot of bad weather. Even Baltimore late in the season is bad weather. What they do works.
Yeah.
They a rugged physical style where they mix in play action, they throw the football, and that's how they win. They're well set up to be very good in the AFC for a long time.
And I'm telling you, this was my original point. There is not a single team in the AFC that I think you're scared of. I don't think New England scares you. I certainly don't think Buffalo right now, with some of their struggles and up and down, scare you, and some of the defensive deficiencies they have and injuries. No one in the AFC North scares you at all. Baltimore can't figure it out. Pittsburgh's a mess. You want to talk about the league of mediocrity? I give you the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are sitting there at 8-4, and you're gonna hear from 8-4 and we've got our quarterback. I'm telling you, if you've watched Jacksonville play, Trevor Lawrence is just a higher rated version of Sam Darnold and Geno Smith. Dude, that guy he is the definition of average. He just has a higher draft profile than those other guys.
He plays between the 20th and 22nd best quarterback all the time.
Yes.
That's who he is.
But they're 8-4, and then you have the Colts, who are kind of falling apart. In fact, the most dangerous team in that division might be the Houston Texans, because they have one thing that I think any of those other teams can't say. They are elite at one thing.
Yeah.
New England's not elite at one thing, certainly not Baltimore, certainly not Jacksonville. The Colts, we thought, although that's come back down to earth, the Texans are elite on the defensive side of the ball.
Yes.
And if their offense pulls their head out of their ass and you play with that defense, that's the sort of team that can get hot at the end of the year, be a wild card team, and all of a sudden look out. And then the other one that I think is legitimate is Denver. If good Bo Nick shows up for large stretches in the postseason, the best team in the AFC is the Denver Broncos.
Does anyone have a better 3-game stretch than the Jags beating back-to-back-to-back weeks, the Texans, the Niners, and the Chiefs? That looks really good.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and look at the Patriots, and I know the Chiefs aren't great, and when they played the Texans weren't very good.
Yeah.
But if you go back and look at the Patriots and who they beat, there's not even a one game that makes you excited. Remember, this is a Patriots team that lost to the Raiders and the Steelers.
Yep.
They do not have a marquee win. The Jags have 3 wins back to back to back that are better than any single Patriots win.
Yeah. It's the damnedest thing.
But they're not good.
No.
I've watched them. They're not good.
No, Trevor Lawrence at least 3 times a game will try to do something to sabotage a game. It's weird. This is just such a strange AFC.
Beware the Broncos, too. I believe they have trailed every game this season.
Yes.
Like, they've only lost 2.
Well, there's a whole montage
earlier in the year.
There's a montage of like 7 straight wins of the Buccaneers or the Broncos basically winning on the last play of the game.
Yeah, it might fall off the rails.
It's just, I have no idea where to go in the AFC. None whatsoever.
And if you take the Rams out of it in the NFC, I don't know if you feel great about 2 other teams in the
Screw
NFC.
Philly.
Well, we talked about this, like, and we're up against it when we come back. I want to ask you: is there a reason why we believe in Kansas City other than their Kansas City? And there is certainly another team in the NFC that I think we can 100% ask the question: do we believe in them for any other reason other than what's on the side of their helmet? That on the other side of the break. Here, though, is the Schnitzel Wolf with an update.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, a busy afternoon once again in college football. Oregon moving up 1 spot from 6 to 5 in the latest version of the college football playoff rankings that would currently slot them to face number 12 Tulane in the first round, though that opponent could change. Very small chance the seeding could change as well for the Duckies. Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, and Texas Tech rounding out the top 5. Also, news for the Ducks today, some bad news. Oregon defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoi going to officially accept the head coaching opening for the Cal Bears. This is just a day after they lost offensive coordinator Will Stein to the University of Kentucky. Also, a big 180 by BYU head coach Kalani Sitake. He has reportedly turned down Penn State and signed an extension at BYU after being heavily linked to that Penn State job. They had a bunch of donors meeting yesterday with a 12-hour offer trying to get Sitake to stay, and we found out a couple hours ago that did work. Blazers in action this afternoon against the Toronto Raptors. Right now, second quarter, about 2 minutes to go, and Toronto leads Portland 58-53. Tamani Kamara leading the way with 15 so far for your Blazers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for the Oregon Ducks, the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM. This is Primetime with Isaac and Suk on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Talking a little NFL, I do want to bring up something maybe after we talk a little NFC here. I saw a tweet from Dave Bartu about the college football playoff rankings that I thought was interesting. So just he's throwing out something that maybe the committee, because Dave always believes that the committee does stuff on purpose, like where they rank teams. And this was an interesting one. I hadn't heard this. I hadn't heard this one before. But we were talking about in the AFC, like you don't know where to go. Like there's not a team that scares you. There's not a team that you feel really good about. But most people believe that somehow Kansas City, despite right now I think having a 46% chance to make the postseason, are going to make the postseason simply because they're Kansas City. And I made the argument, the only reason we really think that is because they're Kansas City. There's nothing about watching the Chiefs play this year that makes you believe that they're about to go on this run, because they need to be perfect. They cannot lose another game. They have to beat the Texans, the Chargers, the Titans, the Broncos, and the Raiders to have a chance. And even if they do win out, there's no guarantee that they make the postseason. But we believe that they're going to do it simply because they're Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And I'd make the argument right now that Philadelphia is the exact same way. Now, Philadelphia is going to make the postseason because they're 8-4 and they're going to win that division. I'm sorry, I just don't think Dallas is going to be perfect and string it together. Despite Dallas playing well right now, Dallas does not have a great shot of making the postseason. But when we look at Philadelphia, there is not another team in the NFL, including Kansas City, that we give the benefit of the doubt to simply because of who they are, more so than the Eagles. They don't look elite right now in anything. They're not running the ball well. Jalen Hurts isn't throwing the ball well right now. They are not elite on defense like they've been in the past. And there's real problems with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. And there's just this belief, because it's Sirianni and it's the Eagles, that they are going to figure out a way to put this together. But yes, they have put it together in a couple of the years, and obviously have made runs to the Super Bowl despite looking ugly. They also had a season where they started 10-0 and won 11 games and got drilled in the playoffs. There's just nothing about the Eagles when I watch them that leads me to believe that that's a team that's capable of going on a deep run.
I'm a believer at this point in the year in the vibes check. The vibes check has been off all year. And you can start the year with vibes issues, like the Miami Dolphins, and then kind of right the ship a little bit. And I'm not saying the Dolphins are good, but you can get better, and that gets better. If you have bad vibes, and that continues for 10 weeks in a row, because you've tried to address it. If you're part of a football team, if you've ever been part of a football team, if there's something about your team that's off, like publicly off, by week 3 or 4, you've attempted to address it.
Yes.
If it's still an issue by week 7 or 8, it's a real problem.
How many player-only meetings can you have?
If it continues to be a problem into week 12 or 13, something is very wrong. And I'll throw in this. It does feel like they have sacrificed the passing game for the running game, which is not working very well.
No, they're not running the ball at all. Turns out that getting the ball 500 times is not conducive to you coming back and doing it again. Saquon Barkley is a shell of his former self. And we said going into the season, this is something to look out. He had the most touches of any player in the NFL last year. And traditionally, I think that number, it's like 430, 440 touches. When you get that many, you usually come back down to earth the next year. Your body just can't take that pounding.
The fantasy rule is either 350 or 375.
And he had a lot more than that.
That if you are a running back who got more than 350 or 375, the next year you do not finish as a top 10 fantasy running back in history. And it's like 0 for 12. Yeah. And he was close to 500. Yeah. So he was a whole third of a season above that. So the optics on that, or the going into the season projection on that, was really poor. It's come back to bite them. How the Eagles have not been prepared and how they have not adjusted to that has been really alarming. And I think that's the thing that bothers me the most. So last year you ran the ball. He dominated people physically. Your offensive line's banged up. You've got some injuries. You've had some retirements over the last few years. So you're not the same offensive line. Okay. You also have bad vibes with your superstar wide receiver. Yeah. And then you continue to not really run the ball well and also not find a groove throwing the football. That's problematic. And the fact that they haven't found a groove, and I am a believer that if you have a problem in week 1, you can address it by week 5 and we're okay. If you're still having the same problem by week 12, week 13, it's broken. Something is really wrong with the Eagles. And I also say, there's a pecking order to Super Bowl champion coaches. Like, there are guys that win it and you say, like, when Andy Reid won his, this is the resume thing that puts him in the top pantheon. He belongs here. This is where this makes sense, right? When a guy wins it and he deserves it, you say, this is the christening of him being a superstar. Is Nick Sirianni the worst football coach to win a Super Bowl in the last 15 years?
But you know what's weird about that is I understand, like, I've heard that. Have you seen his record?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
I know. I feel weird saying it, but they've had multiple seasons where they have an issue. And this is where I think, this is where coaching, to me, this is what separates elite coaching. And we talked about this on the podcast, the West Coast Bias, today. Winning a variety of ways, in my opinion, bolsters you as a coach. Like, one of the things that bolsters Oregon's resume to me is not necessarily the wins they have, it's the way they've won. And the fact that they can win different styles of fights bolsters their resume. Nick Sirianni has had 2 seasons now. A couple years ago, they were undefeated for a long stretch. No. They had an issue. It got exposed. They never corrected it. They were terrible. This year, they have an issue. Nick Sirianni can't pivot. It's a problem 3 months later. Nick Sirianni does what he does, and if it doesn't work, to hell with it. I'm going to keep hammering that nail. It's going to go in at some point. And it doesn't work. And that bothers me because, to me, he's a coach that doesn't pivot in season well at all. You take a Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick did things preparing for the Super Bowl, like his Rams Super Bowl game plan. Yeah. He totally scrapped his defense and ran something they hadn't shown all year.
And basically shut him out.
Yeah. That's elite coaching. Sirianni is like, we are who we are, and if we've got the personnel, we're great, and if we don't, we suck. And that drives me nuts.
Think about it, because I get the Sirianni stuff, I really do. I just want everyone to realize he is 56-22 and 6-3 in the postseason, and has been to 2 Super Bowls.
He has a great GM.
I mean, honestly, 9-8, 14-3, 11-6, 14-3, 8-4, won a Super Bowl, and damn near won a second one. His offense certainly wasn't the problem in that Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts damn near won that one. He is the strangest thing, because normally, even if you're an average coach, Mike McCarthy, and you win a Super Bowl, we elevate you to elite status.
Yep.
Nick Sirianni is an elite coach that has won a Super Bowl.
No, he's not.
And
he's not
we
an elite coach.
don't give that guy zero credit.
Let me do it this way. Okay, let's go over the teams, and I'll trade out their coach, and you tell me if they're better or worse if Nick Sirianni is a coach. The Niners.
I would assume that every one of these is going to be no. All I
the
can
Rams,
tell you, he's
the
56-22.
The Patriots, the Ravens. They're all worse if Nick Sirianni's their head coach.
Then he is just the most blessed human being on earth. Like you said,
he's got a great GM.
He's got a great GM. I'm with you in that, like, there's nothing about the Eagles, but much like Kansas City, where it's just deep down, you're like, oh, it's the Kansas. It's the Kansas City Chiefs thing, where you're like, oh, it's the Chiefs, and you're like, oh, it's the Eagles, and you know how talented those rosters are, and you just keep telling yourself, dude, if they figure it out, but you keep waiting and it's not happening. So
you can have a pretender elite head coach, and you can have a pretender elite quarterback if your head coach is great. You can't have both.
No.
And the Eagles have both.
Yeah.
They have a quarterback that people think is elite that's not. He's a pretender. And they have a head coach who people talk about as if he's elite, and he's a pretender. Again, you can have one that's elite and one that's a pretender, and they can mask one another. Yeah. You can't be a pretender at both elite quarterback and elite coach and survive it. And I think the Eagles right now in this season, with the way Jalen Hurts is playing, with the scheme they run, with the way Sirianni's coaching, they're going to have a hard time surviving that.
Okay. We put a bow on our football talk before we move into Club 1080. Dave Bartu, College Football Matrix, brought up a little interesting point. So I want to touch upon the college football rankings before we move into Club 1080. An abbreviated edition tonight, going to 6:30 before we turn it over to Ducks basketball. One more sports segment right here on 105.1 The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Ducks athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
I got to give most credit to the ones that had to step up. The guys knowing this next man mentality when it comes to up front, when it comes to even the defensive side of the ball, or just the receivers, just in general. But at the end of the day, of course, you're at your strongest when everybody's healthy. And I feel like we have some time to make sure we're getting people back and getting recovered. So only God knows what can happen from there.
That's Dante Moore talking about the injuries. Now, the O-line was healthy in that game. It was back to the normal starting O-line. So at this point, you're just kind of waiting on the receivers, and we don't know. Does Corian Moore come back? Does Gary Bryant Jr. come back? Do we see the emergence of Evan Stewart, who we haven't seen at any point this year? But I will tell you, you get 2 or 3 of those guys back, this offense does look different going into the postseason. This Ducks Report brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
If you're considering new construction,
Isaac and Suk on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
All right, one final sporty sports segment here. You know, we were talking about the college football playoff today, and the rankings came out, and no major changes. Ohio State won, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, right? And then Ole Miss did not get punished. They're sitting there at 6. Also kind of a cool olive branch. I think this was the Lane Kiffin, please don't everyone hate me. Lane Kiffin is letting Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator, because Lane Kiffin told his assistants if they didn't get on the plane with him, they're not coming. But Lane did say that after some thought, Ole Miss and him had a conversation, and LSU decided to let Charlie Weiss Jr. go back and coach.
Lane's still a bitch.
He is still a bitch, but he is letting Charlie Weiss go back and be the offensive coordinator because they did not have a play caller. Like their offensive staff was gutted. So the fact that he's letting him come back, good move. And he said he did it, and he even wanted the committee to know, don't punish Ole Miss because they don't have a play caller.
What a hero.
Yeah. at least,
what a nice guy he is.
At least he's trying. Trust me, no one thinks he's more of a scumbag than I do, but at least there's some level of I may be a scumbag, but I'm not going to be the world's biggest scumbag.
See, and I don't even necessarily think he's a scumbag. I think he's a byproduct of a scummy system.
He's a douche.
Oh, come on.
But
go back to his days with the Vegas Raiders, now the Vegas Raiders.
Every time that guy has left, there is chaos that follows. And at some point, dude, it's you. But Ole Miss is sitting there at 6, Texas A&M at 7, Oklahoma, Bama, Notre Dame, and then BYU and Miami. That's the only thing that matters. Vandy, Texas, all that, it's done.
They're done.
It's done. It ends at Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was interesting because when I saw Notre Dame at 10, BYU, and then Miami, I was like, well, Miami's cooked. There's no way Miami can get in because they're not going to drop Bama out, regardless of what happens in the SEC title game. They're just not. We've said all along that you're not going to get punished for playing in a title game.
You don't go from in to out because you not elected, but you were in a conference championship situation.
And BYU is not in right now. BYU is on the outside looking in. They need to win. Right. So even by losing in their title game, they're not being punished by being kicked out. They're already out.
Right.
Bama is in. Okay. Right. So they're not going to be punished. So basically at this point, you're playing for one slot. And I didn't realize this, but Alabama and Notre Dame got flipped. Alabama is 9, Notre Dame's 10. They flip-flopped them. Mm-hmm. And that kind of was like, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're both in unless BYU wins. Right. If BYU wins, I've said it all along, Notre Dame's out, Miami's out. But Dave Bartu pointed this out, and Dave is a sneaky little son of a gun. He's always saying that the committee does things on purpose to manipulate it for what's happening down the road.
And to add to that, he has regularly told me things because I call him around this time of year, and
he'll
right. Point out like, hey, watch, this team's going to jump this team because they don't want this result to affect it. And he's right before the rankings come out like 9 out of 10 times, and sometimes more than that.
And then they use the back half of the rankings to justify quality wins from the teams up top. And everyone expects BYU to lose, including me. Like Texas Tech drilled them before, they're probably going to drill them again. Mm-hmm. This is all a moot point if BYU wins.
Right.
If BYU wins, there's your field. Bama's in, BYU's in, and bye-bye Notre Dame, bye-bye Miami, bye-bye everyone else.
Right.
But most people think that BYU is going to lose. Mm-hmm. And if BYU loses, Dave said keep an eye on this. Because the belief is that Notre Dame is safe. The belief has always been that Notre Dame has been safe. Mm-hmm. And the one argument that everyone's going to freak out about is the fact that Miami and Notre Dame, similar schedules, similar resumes, and Notre Dame lost to Miami.
Both 10-2, Miami beat Notre Dame.
And Dave said, just keep an eye, because now that BYU is at 11 and Notre Dame and Bama have been flipped, it protects Alabama.
Yep.
And when BYU loses and drops and Miami moves up 1, now we have Miami and Notre Dame right by each other. And now the resumes are compared. And it's the first person I've heard say this. Dave believes that this is being done specifically
so that Miami gets
in, that Notre Dame will get dropped out. He's the first guy I've heard that. And I'm telling you, I assumed that Miami was cooked. And like you said, Dave is really, really good about this.
Good.
And it's a subtle thing, 9-10, but you don't have to jump anyone now. This is just a matter of if BYU loses, now Miami and Notre Dame are literally head to head. 11, the last spot, and they're sitting right there by each other, both 10-2. Neither one of them have his conference title game, and the other one has it. This is the first time I believe that Notre Dame is hooped. I think Notre Dame, when I saw that, and I was like, oh my God, that subtle bump from 9-10, I think Notre Dame is done. We've all this whole time been saying that Notre Dame is in, and I think Dave's onto something. So just something to keep an eye on. Now, again, BYU wins, all a moot point, and everyone gets to go home, and it doesn't matter. But if BYU loses, I'm willing to take a flyer that I'm riding with Dave, that Miami gets in and Notre Dame gets to go home.
Now, I would, if you're a betting man, I would check DraftKings for
team
to get in the college football playoff. Because if it's like plus 600 for Miami to get in, that might be worth doing.
It might be worth doing.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I might go take a little
as I grab my phone.
Well, Dave can be against the grain. And a lot of the stuff that he throws out there, it goes against the conventional wisdom. And the conventional wisdom is Notre Dame is safe. And and this is just one of those times where I think he is. I think he's going to be right. Which, by the way, needs to happen. No offense, but at some point, head to head has to matter.
Agreed.
And when you're standing next to each other, as much as I think it's hilarious that Miami would get eliminated, and whatever you think of how good the team is, they played, they settled it on the field, even if it was early in the year, and those games have to matter. They absolutely have to matter. We come back, Club 1080, an abbreviated version, half hour, before we turn it over to Ducks basketball, here on 105.1 The Fan.
Is your
.1051 FM and 1080 AM.
First on The Fan, good news for Oregon Ducks fans. They have moved up one spot from 6 to 5 in the latest version of the college football playoff rankings. That would currently slot them to face number 12 Tulane in a first-round matchup, though that could change after conference championship weekend. Also, news out of Eugene, multiple reports saying that defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoy will accept the head coaching job with the Cal Bears. Elsewhere around college football, a huge 180 in Utah. BYU head coach Kalani Sitake reportedly has informed people he will stay at the university and has signed an extension after being heavily linked to the opening at Penn State. And over to the NBA, the Portland Trail Blazers in action tonight, taking on the Raptors in Toronto. 8 minutes to go in the third quarter right now, and Toronto leads that 81-70 over the Blazers. Tamani Kamara and Shaden Sharp leading the way for Portland with 15 each. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Recruiting with Andrew Nemec, Thursday evenings at 7 after Isaac and Souk on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM. following program may not be suitable for children.
Hold on to your butts.
As the sun sets over Slab Town, in the shadows of the Fremont Bridge, a club comes to life where you can let your freak flag fly.
There's a new fiesta in the making as we speak. Full kegs. Everybody's gonna be there. You ought to go.
The only thing that's off limits are the words you can't say thanks to the FCC.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
We've given away too much to arrive at these political compromises. Yeah.
Google me, bitch.
Oh no, oh no.
Well, my.
Duval.
You're talking about today for the ball.
Here now. Here now. Here now.
Let's find more sun.
I mean, I don't care.
We apologize.
It's time for the club, baby, on 105.1 and 1080, The Fan. Hoo-wee.
Indeed. An abbreviated club. Now, Schultz, do we just have 2 segments before we turn it over to the magic that is Ducks preseason, I guess Ducks pregame basketball?
Yeah, they're 4-3 in the regular season. Yeah, we got a 6:30 out tonight. So.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, that is bottom of the hour. Ducks B-ball coming at you.
No Nate Biddle tonight. One little tiny sportsy thing.
Damn, he's averaging like 18 for them. I know.
Hey, I said one little sportsy thing. Now that's 2.
All right.
Because nothing turns the people on. Nothing like 4-3 Ducks basketball. Catch the fever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Call me when it's March. I'll check back.
Nate Biddle's hairline. Feel bad. You can do an NIL deal for like some like a little hair restoration there, Nate.
Can't he get like a trip to Turkey paid for?
Well, I feel bad because like, you know, he's not the most handsome guy in the world, but he's got like a good like kind of mullet thing going on, and he's so tall that for the most part no one can see it. But on the camera shot,
there is a camera shot. I was wondering if you were gonna say
it's brutal. Like in most sports you can hide it, right? Like football, if you're going bald, it's not a big deal because you got a helmet on, and then even if not, you wear like a little skull cap. Baseball, you got a hat on. Golf, you're always wearing a hat. Basketball is the one sport when you got bad hair. Like, it's a bad look. Like, Brock Bowers might have the worst hair going in sports right now, but you never see it. Even when you go to the sidelines, you put a baseball cap on. But Biddle, or like, remember when Alex Caruso had that thing happening? Dude. Like, it's just a rough look, man. When you're a balding dude, and he's like 21 or whatever, 22, and you're just out there on national TV, that's rough. And as a man that went bald, it stinks.
Here's the thing, too. In his normal day-to-day life, this never comes up.
No.
Because no one sees the top of his head.
No.
And he can hide it if you're below his eye line. You know, if you're shorter than him, this never comes up.
Yeah.
But because he plays basketball, it comes up every single time they do the high shot.
It's brutal.
And it's brutal.
Because like every photo you see of him, he's fine. Because it's always head on. Like if you just Googled Nate Biddle, he looks like he's got a normal head of hair, but man, that aerial shot, it's a rough go.
Dude started losing hair at like the age of 12 or something.
Well, I don't know.
He can dunk and, he's balding.
I'm telling you, going bald early sucks. Like, I went bald in my 20s. Dude, it stinks. The first time you realize that you're like bald or that it's gone, because like you'll be in denial.
Yeah,
like you're just like I like had thin hair, but I had longer hair like when I played or when I stood on the sidelines in the
Denial
NFL.
like George Springer, my God.
Yeah,
like,
same thing. It's brutal. And I remember one day I was like driving in my car and I had the sunroof. I think I had a sweet Saturn Ion. You want to talk about a T car? Yeah. When you get that standard Fame and Fortune radio contract, you go pick yourself up a stick shift Saturn Ion.
Hey, baby, the carts at the grocery store, it wouldn't leave a mark on those Saturns, baby.
That thing was a real. that thing was great. Walked down to my local Saturn dealership and was like, yeah, it's like 42 miles to the gallon. Let's go. And I was driving it and I caught like a glimpse of like the top of my head in the rearview mirror, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, why didn't I went home and I was like, I asked my wife, I was like, what? She's like, well, didn't want to say anything. I'm like, is it that bad? She's like, well,
yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's just
kind of getting there.
Yeah. And then the next time I went in, because I had the same lady that cut my hair. So 2 weeks later, I went in to cut my hair, and I was like, all right, I need you to level with me. I'm like, how bad is this? And she's like doing that same thing. Well, and And I'm like, son of a, no one informed me. Because I had longer hair and I'd comb it back and I didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah.
And that was the day, like, I cut it really short, and it was the last time I actually had, like, hair.
Mm-hmm.
I had short hair for a long time after that, and then a couple years later, it was like, yeah, to hell with it. But it's a rough thing. Like, going bald early sucks. And, like, at least if you go bald, like, when you're 50 or whatever, it's like the natural age progression. But when you're bald, like, if you're in high school and you're going bald, oh, man.
Yeah, I can't relate to this at all. My grandpa had a full head of hair into his 70s, Italian man, and would still had a swoop.
Oh, sexy.
Swoop in his hair in his 70s and 80s.
I know.
Baller.
I am so jealous of, like, older dudes, even especially, like, when it's gray. Like, you get, like, that, you get the most interesting man in the world. That's all I want in this world. Is it so hard that we can come up with, like, get science on this immediately?
Is that the thing? If you had to put a pecking order of things you're jealous of Rob about, would his salt and peppered hair, would that be one?
Well, I know he gets jammed up with how gray it is.
Okay.
But as someone that doesn't have any,
right.
I think it looks good.
I do too. I think Rob's hair looks good.
But I think when you're 50, I think that maybe that's a little early. I think it prematurely ages you. But to give him credit, he refuses to dye the beard or the hair.
Is he 50?
Yeah, he's 50.
Okay.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm right around the corner.
What is your pecking order of things you're jealous of Rob over?
It's the hair.
Is that it?
It's the hair.
What about his golf game? Would you trade him? Or I don't know who's a better golfer. I would imagine.
Oh, he's a much better golfer. No, I don't really care about being a better golfer. It's the hair.
Okay.
Like, I have a lot of Rob hair envy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you could, like, everyone has, like, one thing. If you could change it about yourself, mine would be my hair.
What do you think Rob would say of you? That he's most jealous of? Height?
I don't know.
No,
like,
speaking for the shorts, on behalf of the shorts, if you've been short your whole life, you just don't really care about being short.
I don't think Rob, like, anything that I have as far as athletic ability or, like, you know, like, Rob, like, mocks all that stuff. Like, anything that is remotely testosterone laden, Rob eschews. Like, he
What if you should have just hit him you should have just said, well, I have a giant peen. That would have been the perfect opportunity.
No, because if you say you have a giant peen, that means you don't have a giant peen.
A lot of people in this office, a couple people in this office love to talk about having a giant.
Got a hug.
Yeah, that is true. No, Rob doesn't strike me as the sort of fellow that would ever really be jealous. He is pretty secure in who Rob is.
Yeah.
He just is, he's that. I mean, I know that the gray bothers him. I know that he doesn't love the gray, but again, he's so secure he doesn't change anything about it.
I think it looks good. I really do think it looks good. I'm not trying to toot his horn, but
I don't know what he would, I have no idea what he would say. Like, is there something specifically about me? I'll tell you what, I don't think Rob would trade places with me. Rob does not.
No.
Rob does not like the big bird. Like, Rob makes fun. Like, when we go places, people size me up. Like, we'll be out at a show or whatever, and Rob has called it out on the air many times. People come up and they do like I don't know how to. It's just sizing you up. They come up and they like
stick their chest out.
They stick their chest out and they get tight and then like they get as tall as they can and then they like stare at you. And Rob is like, "What is that?" I'm like, "I don't know what to tell you, man." Or like we'll be at a concert and you be like, everyone's like, "No one messes with you," and I'm like, "Dude, that is the exact opposite. People love."
Yeah, you become like a target.
Yeah.
Like a measuring stick
for
their toughness.
Happens all the time. And
you know what he's least jealous of? Your podcast, The West Coast Bias. I can guarantee you that he's the least jealous of the fact that you do extra radio with me for no pay.
See, and someone said Rob is envious of your ability to drink. See, I don't think he is, because I think Rob loves to have 2 cocktails and be great.
Yeah, and then just pass out. Right?
I'm telling you.
I don't know about pass out.
Oh, he likes to take a nap, but he said so.
Being a big drinker is not a positive thing.
Right.
Now, it's positive in the sense that I can be the driver, or I can be the guy that kind of, like, if you're in a group of people, like, I have people that like to go out with me knowing that I will keep it on the rails for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the captain now. But I'll tell you, it's not great to your bar bill. Like, if we go out to a bar,
real.
And sometimes my bar tab is it's not fun. And it's
$112.
Well, like, so I don't think
I only had drinks.
I don't think he's jealous of that at all.
Right.
I think Rob likes being a 2 drink and I've got a great buzz. Whereas that's not going to be the case. Someone said maybe handyman skills. I think that probably would be it.
Yeah.
If Rob was going to be jealous of one thing, like I fixed Rob's toilet. Like years ago, Rob was like, "Man, my toilet's broken," and he's like, "I don't know," and I was like, "Dude,
I got you.
That sounds like the easiest fix in the world." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "I gotta call someone." I was like, "Dude, I'll come over and fix your toilet." He's like, "Seriously?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "You just need to replace the inner workings of it." And he was just like flummoxed, and I was like, "Dude, it's like a $12 part, and it'll take me 10 minutes." And I went over and I fixed his toilet, and he was like, "Oh my God."
I mean, I was pretty jealous of hearing you talk about like the plan to build a table for Christmas. Like this kind of stuff sounds like a lot. Yeah,
for Christmas, I'm building a dining room table.
A lot of things guys would want to do.
So I think if there's one thing, and I don't even know if he'd be jealous, but if you're gonna say one thing, it would probably be that.
Yeah.
That Rob is the least handy person known to man.
Ooh, I don't know. It's me versus him.
He's pretty bad.
I'm really bad.
Rob says his tool belt is the phone book.
Yeah.
So I think is there one thing we may have found one thing?
Yeah.
And that is it. Because there's nothing else. Nothing about the gym, nothing about physical prowess, none of that athletics. He would mock all of that.
Yeah, of course.
But the ability to fix a toilet, yeah, that probably will get it. Like fixing a sink. Like if he needed like a new faucet, the fact that I could replace the faucet would be the one for him.
He gives me hell every time I'm around him about being a sports nerd.
Yeah.
And so I know that has nothing to do with it. The one time he didn't give me a hard time, you weren't here, and he had to do the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And he was super nice to me. It was like, you're only nice right now because you need me. And that doesn't mean he was jealous, because he couldn't have given an F less. But it was funny that for somebody who gives me a hard time every time,
Yeah.
I came in for the draft and he's like, "It's super nice that you're here. I really appreciate that you would do this.
Knows.
How have you been?"
He knows that was your toilet. He needed that toilet fixed, and you had the ability to fix that toilet.
The next time I saw him, couldn't have given a rip that I was here again.
That's Silver Fox. Rob knows. Rob knows when to call in the handyman. And in the case of the NFL draft, break glass in case of emergency. All right, we come back. We got one more, and then we turn it over to Oregon Ducks basketball. You got the club here on 105.1 The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on. club. Isaac and Big Sook have you from here.
All right, Oregon Duck basketball coming up here in just a few. We do have contests here. We got a pair of tickets to give away to Shane Gillis. Funny man Shane Gillis, star of Tires, hero to bros everywhere. He will be at Moda Center December 13th, and we'll give you a chance to win. So this week, you listen Monday through Friday during primetime with Isaac, or in this case, non-Isaac, and me, for the code word and text it into 503-864-6FAN. That's 503-864-6326. You can visit 1051thefan.com for complete details. And we are going to be giving the code. We're going to text Shane. That makes sense because, well, it's Shane Gillis. So text Shane right now to 503-864-6FAN for your chance to win a pair of tickets to Shane Gillis on December 13th at Moda Center. And I will say, I do enjoy Shane Gillis.
It's pretty funny.
He can be a little broy for me. I'm not going to lie, the Joe Rogan crowd, that comedy scene, the Theo Vaughns of the world, and and the Tony, Hinchcliffe, it's a bit much. But Gillis is really
He toes
funny.
the line nicely.
He toes the line. His first two specials
They're
really
They are.
really good. The one on, Beautiful Dogs, that may be one of the funniest things that I've heard in years. It's just that, the crowd, it's very bro. Just know what you're getting into. You're going to get a heavy, heavy dose of bro with Shane Gillis. But I will probably, I got Chappelle this weekend. Chappelle on Friday. And then I will probably make my way over to see some Shane Gillis.
So the thing about going to see Chappelle when you're in an interracial relationship, particularly if your girl's African-American and you sit close to the front, this happened with Trevor Noah. It happened with Dave Chappelle. I saw this tweet that went semi-viral because there aren't a ton of white relationships with an African-American woman that said, the nice thing about being in an interracial relationship is you guarantee the comedian is going to riff on you.
100%.
Chappelle went in on our relationship, and I felt both very proud and very humiliated.
I have that. If I sit in the front of a comedy club,
you're a big guy with an Asian girl, you're gonna get.
I'm gonna get picked out. Big guy, big beard, tattoos. I get picked on.
Everybody sees you first.
I get picked on 100%. Throw the Asian girl in there, and 100% I am a target. But if you're gonna sit in the front of a comedy show, one, you better be prepared, especially if you've got something that stands out, whatever that is.
Yes.
Big, small, fat, skinny, Asian girl, black girl, whatever. If you've got something, like Big J. Okerson was performing at Helium, and I was sitting in front, and my daughter was there, and Big J thought he thought we were together. And so then I was like, well, it's my daughter. And then he did he was like, oh, and he must have done 15 minutes on that being my daughter. And you got to have a good sense of humor.
For sure. You're walking into the Lion's Den if you sit be aware, like the first two rows, good luck.
Well, I really like stand-up comedy. There was one, dude, it's kind of a dark story, but we were in California for the Rose Bowl, and Jason Quick, we were hanging out, and we went to what's the famous comedy club in LA?
Helium?
No, it's on
Comedy Store?
Comedy Store.
Factory?
Comedy Store.
Comedy Store, yeah.
And we were there, and dude, it was crazy. We saw like Bill Burr, Whitney Cummings.
Oh, wow.
It was the night before New Year's, and so there was like a big showcase. And so all these big stars did like 15 minutes. Yeah, like I said, and they just cycled through. We were like, oh my God. And we had no idea. They just said, hey, it's like $20 and you want to be here, there'll be a bunch of people rolling through. It was night before New Year's, night before New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And so we got to the end of the evening, and we got kind of like all the big comics had gone. So it's like midnight, everyone's drunk. And I forget this guy's name, but he got up there and he was not funny at all. And he was kind of bombing. And for whatever reason, like he picked on Quick. Like we were sitting in the front, and he was like pitching Quick crap for like not laughing. And Quick was like, well, you're not funny. Like nothing you're doing is funny. He's like, look around. People are leaving. Like it got contentious. Like I was like, oh my God, is this guy going to like fight Jason Quick?
Go Michael Richards on Quick?
It was the weirdest comedy set. And the dude he was all dark and depressed, and it was just weird.
Not good.
No, it was weird. So we left. We were like, dude, this is stupid. Like we've been here. And so we left. I think we went to some other place.
Good.
Sunset, you can find some other things to go do. Yeah.
Other place.
Yeah, we went and took our entertainment elsewhere.
Another kind of entertainment.
Dude, like a year later, that guy committed suicide.
Oh.
I almost made that. I'm so glad I didn't.
Good
I
job.
almost made the joke when you said he's so dark.
Good job,
and so...
Mimic.
Yeah, dude, like, and he was like he wasn't like a super well-known guy, but he had, he was a traveling comedian. Like, people had heard of it, and I was like, oh, and I texted Quick, and Quick's like, oh my God. Yeah. It's like a year or something later, the guy offed himself. And we were like, oh, that's weird. And then, of course, I blamed Quick. I was like, that's your fault. And he's like, thanks.
On that happy note, thanks for having me.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe Rot, maybe not. I'll be here either way. Nemec, appreciate it. National Signing Day tomorrow, so good luck with all of that. And we will see you back here, me and the Schnitzel Wolf, tomorrow, 3 to 7, right here on 105.1 The Fan.